All right, what is going on, chat? Hope y'all are having a good one so far. Today, we're here for the Fernandez versus Kamerman show match, but I've got a special guest with me today. I've got Aaron Curry. Aaron, why don't you go ahead and give some people... I'm sure there might be some old heads in chat who know your name. I was familiar with your name when I played against you at NAIC. I even asked you, are you the real Aaron Curry? And because I know your name from way back. We never met back in the day. But yeah, why don't you go and give some people a little bit of background about yourself and your time in the Pokemon TCG, and you are coming back to the game, right?
Yeah. I've actually been playing a lot more actively ever since. Gosh, what is that set called? Paldea Evolved dropped was probably when I started picking the game back up. I was playing TCG Live back when it first came out, but I played like going way back. Played competitively starting when TPCI first took over the game back in 2004, and played all the way from then up through 2013 was the last big event that I played was U.S. Nationals 2013 with the Gothitelle year.
Yeah.
And, kind of had some mixed results here and there in between. Back in seniors, had what I think it was like top 8, maybe top 4 at U.S. Nats one year, a few semi, decent Worlds results here and there. But just kind of one of the things that I prided myself on, or one of the things that I attempted to do that probably pigeonholed me into some lower tier results, was trying to do something different when I went to events. I always wanted to be the rogue player, wanted to be the guy that kind of caught people off guard and did things that were against the grain. And, it turns out a lot of times you just do better when you play good cards.
Yeah, sometimes just playing the best deck is just the best, right?
Yeah. You'll see people pop up here and there, the Ross Cothans of the world that can kind of just play whatever they want and still succeed. And, good for them. It's something that I aspired to do back in the day. But now I don't have as much time to practice with the family and everything, full 9-to-5 job. And just kind of getting the games in when I can and just playing the best decks seems to be working out a little bit better. Played my first challenge for the season on Friday. Took that down undefeated with Lost Box. Good decks are good. Yeah. Happy to be here, though. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a lot of fun.
Of course. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you on for sure. So, yeah, that's Aaron Curry, everyone who didn't know, making his way back to the game. Yeah, and I'm excited to see. There's a lot of, like, it's like this new wave of, I don't know, this next age of the game, this new era of the game, the post-COVID era, whatever. I've seen a lot of new players getting back into the game, but a lot of old players getting back into the game who stopped a while ago, which is really cool to see. And you're one of those players. So yeah, that's really cool to see. All right, well, before we take a look at the deck lists, see what the players are playing, and break down the format of today's show match, got to give a shout out to the sponsors of the stream today, of the show match today. We got Dragon Shield, Game Grid, and TC Evolutions. Dragon Shield, premium, high quality game accessories, and personally, I love them for their card sleeves. I prefer the matte sleeves, and one of my current favorite colors is the magenta matte Dragon Shield, so be sure to go check them out. We also got Game Grid. If y'all looking to pick up any Shrouded Fable products, they got those available for pre-order right now. Shrouded Fable's coming up soon, so if y'all need any products, be sure to go check them out, GameGridSLC.com. And the last sponsor, TC Evolutions. Y'all want to not just be beating your opponent, but beating them in style, you need the TC Evolution accessories. Check them out. They got ability markers, V-star markers, dice, damage counters, you name it, they got it. Check them out, TCEvolutions.com. Yeah, shout out to all the sponsors for helping make these show matches happen as always. And code AzulGG will get you a discount over there on all the sites, so be sure to go check them out. All right, so the format for today's tournament is Conquest, best of 9 Conquest. How familiar are you with Conquest?
I fiddled around with Hearthstone a fair bit, so I understand. We're going to go through till either side has won with all of their decks, and once a player wins with a deck, that deck is eliminated from contention. They can no longer select it, and I'll let you continue with the format, though.
Yeah. So I had a couple discussions recently. This is going to be a little bit different than how we've done the Conquest for the past show matches. I had some discussions with some people recently on, like, well, what if someone just brings, like, a bunch of decks? Like, someone's going to bring something like a Gardevoir or like a Charizard, and then you just make 5 decks that beat Gardevoir or Charizard, and be like, okay, that could be a problem. Because how could you say, like, a Quad Mimikyu deck that beats Charizard isn't a deck, right? Isn't an archetype, right, potentially. So I've expanded upon the Conquest format a little bit. We've let the teams Let the players bring 7 decks each, and then each side gets to ban a deck from the other side, and then they have to win with 5 of their 6 remaining decks. So you can't really trap a deck in that sense through the archetypes you choose to bring. You can't like create just new archetypes that purposely beat a Charizard or beat a Lost Box or something like that. Let's go ahead and
And I mean, to be fair, in other Conquest formats, in other games, that was a legitimate strategy.
Yeah.
So
let's go ahead and let's take a look at the deck list. You should be able to see them in the Discord, right?
Yep.
You got access to them. All right, cool. So let's take a look at Fernandez deck's first tier. First, we got the Bonnet deck. Not one of the more popular. How familiar are you with the Bonnet Gardevoir deck?
I know that Vinny has played this deck before. I know that it's seen a smattering of online tournament results, but not had a bunch of IRL success. So it'll be interesting to see what it can do here. I mean, I know that we still got our Gardevoir Curlia engine going. We do now have access to Monkey Dory, it looks like, in this list. But, item lock is good. Unfair Stamp's good.
Yeah. The Monkey Dory, I guess, is like the new piece to this deck. There's only 2 Luminous Energy in this list here. Item lock is good. I'm kind of scared of the Galvantula actually coming out in the next set,
right?
Or 2 sets from now. I'm kind of scared of that one. But yeah, currently all we have is Bonnet. We're only doing 30 damage with our item lock. So they brought the Bonnet. They also brought Gardevoir, but the Gardevoirs are banned, so I think we can skip over this one. Both teams chose to ban just kind of the normal Gardevoir deck from the other side. So no Gardevoir action will be played. I think it makes sense, right? Just remove the best deck in the format from your opponent's side.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason that Gardevoir had so many top 8 slots at NAIC.
Yeah.
And there's a reason both of us chose to take the deck to NAIC. I mean,
yeah.
What can you say?
So up next, chose to bring the Lost Box, very similar to the list that took down NAIC, the Hedrick Lost Box, nothing too crazy. You mentioned you just played Lost Box recently at a challenge. What kind of build did you play? Was it like the Hedrick build?
Yeah, it was almost identical to this. I just didn't think that Thorns was going to be that important in my local meta, so I chose to drop that and a Pokestop for Raikou V and Forest Sealstone.
Okay.
And, nothing super crazy, and it looks like we've got something similar going on here. Slightly less turbo, less all-in on the Pokestop, and using a Spiritomb for that kind of flex slot instead.
Yeah, has that, and we saw that actually in the Gardevoir list. They brought that was banned. They brought the Spiritomb in Gardevoir actually, so it looks like targeting stall specifically. It looks like maybe some of the builds here. They brought Lugia as well. This Lugia build, this is actually an interesting one. It's got the Luxray, the reversal Luxray combo, no rats, no Chinchinos, and then only 1 Iron Hands. Not even going like the double Iron Hands overall. So this one I'm actually kind of curious to see how this one's going to play out.
Yeah, I don't know what they're looking for matchup wise here. I'm not personally a huge fan of the Ogerpon. I guess technically you can sob trap something, but personally I would rather see that be that second Iron Hands. We don't see the Drapion V in here either.
Yeah.
So it looks like they weren't trying to bring this into Gardevoir specifically. I like the Iron Bundle, though. It's a nice inclusion.
Yeah, I like the bundle. Yeah, I guess that's true. They're probably just not trying to be... Well, especially if they knew they were going to ban Gardevoir, that makes sense, right? If they were going into this being like, all right, if we're banning Gardevoir, what should our Lugia list look like? That's like, them putting in that extra preparation. There was a Lugia, also brought Raging Bolt, and like super standard here. I don't think anything really stands out. Didn't bring the Ogerpon, I guess.
Right. Yeah. This looks like probably the most standard Raging Bolt list I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's like nothing special at all. I think... Oh, no. Last deck here. 7th deck here is the Regidrago. And actually, I'm pretty sure, unless I misremember, we'll take a look at the Kamerman list here in a second. But I think both of them brought Regidrago, which has kind of been like the newcomer to the current format, and also a pretty hyped deck going into the next format as well.
Sure. I think the interesting thing here, the list that had the most success at NAIC chose to use Raging Bolt as their big one-hit KO button, and instead Fernandez brothers have chosen to bring Giratina V-Star, trying to eliminate that bad starter from their list, and saying, okay, I only have to get rid of 2 energies to use my big attack rather than having to discard 4 or 5. They're still looking to bring the Noivern for some of these other basic matchups. I know that we've seen some people cut this card recently just because they felt that either the matchup is bad enough that it doesn't help enough, or the matchup is so good you don't need it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's cool to see the Regidrago start to make a move in the meta. They also included one of Lost City, which is interesting. I'm not sure what matchup. I guess maybe probably Gardevoir and Lost Box are the matchups you hit the hardest with that, I would imagine.
Yeah.
All right. And if
the Scoop Up Cyclone is kind of interesting too. I know that the ace spec in this deck can be kind of flexible.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm a fan of Prime Catcher, but I know the Scoop Up Cyclone's got a lot of fans as well. And that's another nod to probably that stall matchup.
Yeah. I got to try I haven't tried the Scoop Cyclone yet. And it probably feels a little bit better when you put it alongside the Penny. So you have like a lot of ways to pick a Pokemon out of play. I know Shintaro has been playing the Regidrago with the Scoop Up Cyclone for a little while. So, you know, if you got someone like Shintaro representing that card over the Prime Catcher, there definitely is something behind it for sure.
For sure.
All right, so I think we've gone... Oh, no. All right, I miscounted. I thought that was 7. This is 7. They brought Stall. They did bring Stall. And once again, pretty vanilla list. They got the Radiant Serena in there, which is something I haven't quite figured out personally. I know it's like decent against Gardevoir because you stop like the 10 into the 190 of the Ralts teleportation into the Gardevoir 190. And I don't know if the Radiant Serena I haven't fully figured out if it's worth including in here. And once again, I guess like kind of speaking towards them potentially like knowing they were going to ban Gardevoir, they didn't bring the fans in their build, which is pretty much just the tech for Gardevoir. It's okay in a couple other matchups, but it's like not groundbreaking, but very, very good against the Gardevoir matchup. Is the what is the card even called? The tool card fan? Handheld fan. Handheld fan, yeah, handheld fan. Yeah. No handheld fans in here for the Gardevoir matchup. And let's see. All right, now we're back around. All right, so let's take a look at what Kamerman's decided to bring. They brought Charizard, which is a difference here we're seeing for sure. And just straightforward Charizard, no Dragapult in this.
Yeah, I think the TM Diva is interesting. I'm not sure what they necessarily expected the Fernandez brothers to bring. Like the matchup where you would want that is, you know, Mirror, maybe Dragapult. It's not really that effective against most other decks. I think that spot maybe could have been utilized as something else.
Yeah, that's a thing with like the Conquest format, right? You're not trying to go too wide, right? Because you're only going to hit it into hopefully not too many You're not going to hopefully play the one deck against too many decks. Hopefully by the second or third time it comes around, you've won with that deck at some point. So yeah, the TMD evolution, you know, it's only going to be good in a couple matchups. Something like probably, you know, the Mirror Match or Dragapult is where you'd want it, I would imagine.
And there's another nod to that in here too with the 60 HP Pidgeys over the Call for Family guys.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they really expected Well, actually,
Regidrago, right?
I need to stop myself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Dragapult's best deck.
Yeah, the best deck to attack with Dragapult is Regidrago, for sure. All right. They also brought, what do we got next up here? They brought the Gardevoir. Once again, it is banned. Both sides decided to ban the Gardevoir. A little bit different. This is the unfair stamp from the Fernandez. We saw the Aroma, I think they had in their build, but banned on both sides either way, so we can go past this one pretty quickly here. They brought Lost Box as well, and this one might actually, I think this is one card different from Hedrick, so still pretty close.
Actually, I think this is identical to Hedrick's list.
I thought Hedrick had 4 Poffin. That's what stood out to me, but maybe it is 3. You might be right, actually.
Oh, you're right. They have a 4th switch. I think that might be it.
Okay. Yeah, it's close. Hedrick kind of set the tone for Lost Box for sure after NAIC. They brought a Lugia as well, but they went with the rats. They brought out the Chinchinos, still an Iron Hand, only one Iron Hand still, of course, but when you got the rats to back it up, you have a little bit more depth to the deck. So the trade-off here is like no Luxray, no Ogerpon, instead brings the rat lineup. Both choosing to bring the Fluttermane, though, as like an answer. I guess an answer to Iron Thorns, slow down Lost Box a little bit.
Yeah, I know when we were playtesting for NAIC, we had Fluttermane in our Lugia list just because we didn't want to lose to Iron Thorns. It doesn't help the matchup that much, but, you know, small percentage points.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and it's been a while since I feel like I've seen like the rat build in action. They also brought Raging Bolt. They decided to bring the Ogerpon, though. Besides that, I don't think did the Fernandez bring Catcher? Because we can see some Catchers here.
No, I don't think they did.
Yeah. That feels like it's almost become like a standard here in Raging Bolt overall. But they chose to bring the Ogerpon, which there's no Charizard on the other side to really take full advantage of that card. But I think that's usually the thought process behind that one. And there it is. Here's another Regidrago, and we see the Raging Bolt in this one. and the Prime Catcher.
Yes.
So I guess like that's the switch up there, right?
Right. And actually, I don't think the Fernandez brothers had Gudra in their list either. So
Yeah.
that's something that doesn't always come up, but one of the matchups where it actually is the most important is the mirror. So it could be something that picks us up some way down the line during this series.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, it's not hugely important.
I guess like specifically. Well, yeah. I guess like you're trying to play around that one at KO. Specifically, I guess it lines up best here for the Kamerman side because like the Gudra fully stops the Giratina V-Star from getting that one at KO, right?
Right.
But if you play Raging Bolt, you can get over Gudra. You just need a lot more energy in play to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe edge of the mirror match there. Also choosing to bring the stall. Did bring the handheld fan, actually. So it does still have the one of handheld fan in here. So maybe a little bit less set on for sure banning Gardevoir, or I guess even knowing if Gardevoir is going to be picked, but does have the tech card in there for Gardevoir. It might have some other uses in other matchups as well. I just know like its main inclusion reason is for the Gardevoir matchup.
Yeah, it's good against other stage 2 decks too. I mean, Charizard,
Yeah.
Agapult, but for most of these other decks, I don't know how. Maybe it would be good into this Bennett deck from the Fernandez brothers.
It
but,
could be, yeah.
Otherwise.
Also including the Mantine, which I feel like I haven't seen Mantine in forever in stall. I feel like the norm has just been the just giving up on Mantine, or hoping Flute hits, Flute or Air does. But they're bringing back the Mantine here. All right. And wait, have we come all the way back around already? I think so.
I believe that's everything.
All right. All right. So we've seen the lists from both sides. Both sides choosing to ban. Going over it one more time here, I guess. Both sides bring 7 decks. They both ban 1 deck each, leaving them with 6 decks remaining, and then they need to try and win 5 games with the 6 remaining decks. And they both chose to ban Gardevoir. So no Gardevoir is going to be played today, which I'm kind of fine with, to be honest. I've seen a lot of Gardevoir recently.
Yeah.
All right, so let me... Oh, I think we lost. We have a little bit of a wonky setup. Hang on one second. All right, so we have a little bit of wonky setup with the gameplay. Hopefully it won't be a huge deal. But we do have the Fernandez brothers on an iPad. Getting their screen shared through Discord is what we're looking for here. Okay. I got it back up for me now, so hopefully it'll stay. It went away once. But hopefully we'll be good from here. And then everything should be good. So I think we're ready to get into the matches as long as the players are ready. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the go-ahead. I don't think I missed anything. Did I miss anything, Aaron?
No, not that I'm aware of.
All right. I'm going to give the players the go-ahead here. So for the first match, it will be random who goes first. They're going to flip the coin, let PTCG Live decide. And then from there, the loser of each match will pick first or second after both players have, or both sides have, locked in their deck choice. So they're going to lock in their deck choice. They're going to send the challenge, and then the losing side will pick first or second. And then the first side will, or and then that side will pick first or second. And then we'll progress from there. Let me give them the go ahead here. And once again, try and get this screen sharing to work. Everything's set up. I think we should be good now, though. So we're just waiting on the players to get into the first match. Do you have any thoughts on with what both sides brought? Do you think you give one side an edge over the other?
I think a lot of this is just going to come down to in-game play, since we have 5 of the 6 decks for both sides are identical.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily sure. I think head-to-head, if you can get the Bennett set up quickly, obviously you're going to edge out that Charizard deck since they're only running 1 Charmeleon.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough to say. I think. Ask me again after we see what our first matchup is.
Okay. All right, yeah, we'll see what they choose to throw out there first. I almost feel like, what do you think is the? I almost want to say I think Charizard is the strongest deck on both sides. Like between all the decks that after they both ban Gardevoir on either side, I want to say that the Charizard deck becomes like the strongest deck just neutrally across the board.
Sure.
So I feel like that gives it's like if both players had Gardevoir to work with, that'd be kind of like your guaranteed win deck almost. It's like, okay, we're gonna send this when we just want to win. But I feel like Charizard almost becomes that. Not quite, I guess, because of the stall matchup, but for the other matchups, I think we're running to pretty favorables against most of the other decks there for the Charizard.
Yeah, I agree. It's something where it almost feels like Charizard was underplayed at NAIC, and we've seen a lot of people pick it up to bring it to Cups and Challenges since the new season started. I've been playing with it a fair bit myself, and you can see some variation where you get the people that kind of do those amalgamation lists, kind of what Tord and Primowatt brought to NAIC, where they've got either a thin Charizard and thick Dragapult or vice versa. But just these pure Charizard lists have seen a lot of success recently. The one thing that I would be afraid to bring it into, I guess, would be the Lost Box.
Yeah, okay.
Just because we aren't bringing the Jirachi. But even then, the Spiritomb probably would hurt us a good bit as well.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess that could be another one that we run into. I guess Iron Thorns has to be like... Actually, I don't even know. Is Iron Thorns like too slow in that matchup, I guess? You don't have... It does... I guess you can put on the pressure. I mean, shutting down the Charizard ability plus the Pidgeot, I guess it could be enough. Maybe it works out. But I guess you eventually just turn on Counter Catcher and then get around it.
Right.
So yeah, I guess the bigger...
Yeah, with 4 gust options, I don't necessarily think that's a good long-term strategy.
Yeah.
But maybe it gets you in the door long enough to get the 10 in your lost zone to start doing some Sableye shenanigans. One thing that I actually would have been interested to see somebody bring would have been Sablezard. I know you've been playing a good bit of that recently yourself. And into a lot of these matchups, I think that it may fare better than a standard Lost Box list.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just looking through this again. We saw 4 mist in this Lugia list. I think both of them are 4. Oh, no. Fernandez brothers only have 2 mist energy, but it's probably not going to end up being a big deal at the end of the day. I think, honestly, one of the biggest sticking points is probably going to be this Raging Bolt deck from both sides, so whoever can sneak that through will probably come out on top.
Yeah.
It's a deck that overall has not impressed me too much.
Yeah, it's definitely like the... Man, I don't want to call it the Miraidon of the format, because I feel like Miraidon had a little bit more depth when it, last format. But the Raging Ball is, like, basically as straightforward as it gets for that, like, just hit hard deck in the format. Which, yeah, they're never super impressive. They need to be, like, really, really good for them to be really, really impressive. And then I feel like usually decks like that, when they are really, really good, they're good for, like, one tournament. There's, like, some flaw about them, but there's something they're taking advantage of that people are missing in the format. And they get their one tournament, and then all of a sudden it's like people just add, like, that one tech card, and the deck becomes bad all of a sudden. So...
Right.
But yeah, Raging Bolt, like, it isn't good enough to actually ever have its moment, I feel like, probably. All right, here we go. Getting into the first game here. I'm not sure what was selected on either side. And hopefully I got the gameplay scenes set up correctly here as we switch over. Yes. All right, everything's great. It's looking good. And you can see all the gameplay, right, on both?
Yep, I'm good to go.
All right, sounds good. So, yeah, players getting into it. It looks like the Fernandez won the coin flip. But it looks like they are undecided if they want to go first or second. So I'm curious to see what they brought here, actually. They did choose second. Okay.
So I'm wondering if they're trying to sneak that Raging Bolt through first.
It could be it. Nope, went with the Lost Box, it looks like.
Okay, so we get a mirror.
Is that what we got here? I'm switching over to the other side now. Boy, hang on, let me make sure my... There we go. All right. Yep, we did get a mirror. And this opening hand is, like, maybe okay going second because you have the Colress. But going first, this hand is pretty terrible for the Kamerman side.
Yeah, not having a switch card's really going to hurt here.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're missing, right?
Don't have a switch card. We don't have an energy for concealed cards either.
Do you even bench anything? Because then you, like, theoretically give up a prize card, right? Or do you just pass? Also,
right.
you wouldn't tell them what deck you're playing yet. Because it could be the Lugia still, right?
Right. I think since we already have a Colress in hand, passing seems pretty good to me. Like, we can't use our Prime Catcher. We can't do anything, essentially, besides just give information and give options to our opponent.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. They're just passing over. And the hand here, though, for the Fernandez is pretty good.
This is kind of gross. Yeah. Being able to explode here. We'll probably see a quick price check, just making sure nothing key is prized before we make some of our future options.
Yeah, the big question here is like, do they even want that? They didn't prize 2 Comfy, so they could go for a second Comfy off this Poffin, but they did start a Comfy. How much do you want to clog the bench? Or how much should you play like a solo Comfy game potentially? That's like a thing as well. They don't know it's the mirror match. Because do you want to like open up the possibility for the Greninja snipe at all? I'm not sure if you want to do that, to be honest.
Well, I'm wondering if you've already committed to putting 2 in play, I don't think it's that much worse to put a third one down. But just whether or not you wanted to have that second one to begin with.
Yeah. Okay, that's true. That's true.
How do you feel about Colress before Pokestop here?
Man, I'm kind of conflicted on it because I know Hedrick. I don't know if he was on like I think he did like maybe something with James Cox, like a in-depth how to play Lost Box thing, and Hedrick apparently said you always Pokestop first. I'm a little bit conflicted on it. I like kind of the idea of potentially finding stuff like Nest Ball and playing Nest Ball before I would use Pokestop, because the chance that Colress sees the Nest Ball or Pokestop sees the Nest Ball is exactly the same. But if you see it first off the Colress, you get to thin the Pokemon out of your deck. And I'm sure you don't always use Pokestop first. I'm sure Hedrick didn't mean you literally always, but it sounded like more often than not you want to use it. I guess the one argument you could like maybe have here would just be like, well, our opponent had a really slow turn 1. Are we just trying to avoid giving them Pokestop? Maybe that'd be the reason you would just Colress first to try and avoid giving it to them in general.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm kind of conflicted on that. I would have to like go really in depth with Lost Box to really come to the determination of what I think is better overall.
Yeah, I've been a fan of that Hedrick school of thought. And that's what I did all night Friday was just Pokestop first. And it never really seemed to steer me wrong. Obviously, you can get into situations where, you can be results oriented and just say, oh, look, I just discarded the Colress. Maybe I shouldn't have used this card. But it's something where you're just committing to using the card to begin with. I don't think that it's... So like you said, if I'm going to Colress or Pokestop into Nest Ball, why would I not want to Pokestop while my odds of hitting Nest Ball are at their highest?
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of the logic path that I would follow for it.
The other thing to go with that as well is just like what you have to work with. The reason, like another reason to use that Pokestop versus you just know what you have to work with sooner, right? Yeah. Use the Pokestop. You either hit something or you hit nothing. If you hit anything or you discard certain things, once you use the Colress, you have more information to make with that next card that you have a little bit more control over, right? You have a little bit more control over that Colress. So now you can be like, all right, you make a better educated call with what to get and what to get rid of. And no play on the heavy ball, no way to get a cram or get into the cram. So it's just going to be triple Comfy, use a couple and pass. The Lost Zone's pretty built up at this point, but this is like almost perfect for the Kamerman side, right? It was like, well, we open Ursaluna, pass, but now all of a sudden they can be the aggressor here and get that first prize card.
Yes. And honestly, I think that they are decently set up to just Greninja this turn, potentially. You could play things slow. Maybe, like you suggested, if we only go to 1 Comfy here, we deny that Greninja option. But looks like they disagree with me. They're just going to full force. We're going to get to 7 as quickly as possible. It's probably the right call. We want to be able to use those Mirage Gates.
Yeah, and that's, Ooh, yeah. They do. They're pretty close. Like, they only need to get to the 7 in the Lost Zone, which from 0 in the Lost Zone is not super unreasonable with this build, so it's definitely possible for him to get all the way there. The question would be just, do you just want to settle for maybe like a cram attack and only put 1 Comfy in play? That would involve having to find that vacuum, but then you don't open up the Greninja 2-for-1 trade-off later on.
Yeah, I think the big thing, you kind of play a game of chicken with this, especially in Mirror, where you almost never want to put Pokestop down unless you can vacuum it.
Yeah. And that's
just
what we saw.
Denying those extra resources to your opponent is really crucial.
Yeah, that's what we saw on the Fernandez side, right? Fernandez side. They used the Pokestop, they vacuumed it away. Try and never leave it in play if possible. Now both of them do play 3 to 4 Pokestops, so there's a good chance the other side has it, but they won't always have it.
Yeah. And you want to force them to play it, I think, because then if they can't vacuum it, then you get to use it again. But the weird thing is then you never want to vacuum your opponent's Pokestop, I feel, just because you don't want to increase their Lost Zone. It gets a little awkward sometimes.
Yeah. And there we see the Pokestop on the Kamerman side. They just went with the Pokestop immediately, had a pretty good hit as well. Double switch card found off that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hitting the colors is not ideal. This is kind of an awkward colors. This is our last Mirage Gate in deck. I know we've got 2 in hand already, but we saw that one was prized. We can pretty easily let the Comfey go. We probably could let that copy of Pokestop go too. So this selection here is probably not too difficult. We know that we have a couple of energies prized as well.
Yeah, I guess like the big thing would be here is like do they want to get that third Comfey, because that is how they would be able to get to 7 this turn probably, right? Is you need the triple Comfey colors, but they do have this Nest Ball in hand. They also need to find Greninja though, which is a little bit harder to find than a Comfey, and that's what they're going for here.
Exactly.
Get that concealed cards, and then go into the
Ooh.
They're close. It's close.
They're real close. And honestly, worst case scenario, they've got the Kamerman already set up too. So I think that they're okay with just kind of going through here and seeing how far they can get.
Yeah. So what do they just need a vacuum? There it is.
Wow.
Because the Nest Ball could be the third. Is there ever a reason to not go for it at this point? What is Iron Hands available actually? Do we ever go for Iron Hands instead? What is the trade-off here? Why would one be more valuable than another, do you think, right now?
I think knowing that we have 2 gates prized, you may not want to go with Iron. It's really awkward. A lot of this game comes down to like Ursaluna's banging into each other and who can do that most efficiently.
Because that's the only response to the Iron Hands, right? Is that Ursaluna?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, what read do you have on your opponent being able to get Ursaluna out ASAP? Actually, I almost wonder if it isn't correct to just take a single prize card, but then you end up on an odd prize map. You don't necessarily want to do that. I mean, I'll say that a lot of games that I've won with this deck, you just set up Ursaluna ASAP and start ramming into things because you've got so many switch outs. So accelerating your opponent to that option can be really awkward.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's
especially if you don't know if you can respond if they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd want to find time. Man, that does make things tough, to be honest, because you want to find time to use Iron Hands. You want to find time to use the Greninja. I guess like for this situation here, we're still a card short because we need to get the Comfey. But then we'd also, so if we don't find the Iron Hands here, the only option is the Greninja option, right?
Right.
Out of those 2, but that would require,
or double vacuum.
Yeah, but that would require. What was I going to say here? 2 gates, because we don't have the water energy in hand. So I guess that was probably like the thing we wanted to see here, actually, as the Kamerman side.
And that's the awkward thing. Like both options require 2 gates, and then again, we know that one of our gates is already gone. We don't have access to it.
Yeah.
Or
it's
until
prize,
we take
right?
it off of our prize cards.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we're committing 2 of them, if we don't hit it off of those 2 prize cards, well, we're locked out of the other. Well, if you don't hands this turn, you're locked out of hands for future turns.
Yeah.
Until you get access to that second gate.
Yeah, so I feel like hands probably would have been the play here if we had the hands to work with. Because you could even put an energy on the Greninja as well, right? We had this lightning, attach that to hands, gate twice, 3 end up on the hands, 1 ends up on the Greninja. But now it's like, okay, do you make the commitment, or do you just punch with the cram? We could just go cram for 1. We'll get to the Greninja eventually. But maybe we can combo the Greninja with just 1 gate after we find a water energy, right?
Their resources are just going to be really taxed here. Just having 2 energy prize, having that second gate prized is going to make things very difficult. One thing I didn't actually count, I don't know how many super rods they have access to currently.
Yeah, I think they did loss zone 1 in the... did they loss zone 1 in the Culver's? I feel like they did, but maybe they didn't.
No, it was Pokestop and Comfey.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing to think about here as well is the value we're getting from KO2 Comfeys, right? That removes draw power from the other side of this, right? So that's definitely something to think about and consider here as well. It's like, okay, we're KOing 2 Comfeys. That'll leave the Fernandez with only 1 Comfey. So even if they could have used 3 Comfeys on this next turn, they can't, which means all of a sudden that might limit what plays they have access to. Maybe they won't be able to Greninja or Iron Hands themselves as the follow-up, right?
Right. I think I would be a lot more comfortable with that if they were at 5 in their lost zone instead of 6.
Yeah.
So the fact that they can already get their gates online with just that single Comfey means that it's not necessary. It's not as impactful to do that. Overloading the Greninja here is a really interesting call because I would be very surprised if they weren't able to response KO it.
Yeah. So I mean, they're kind of making the call. Are they making the call here that they think they just lose the game if they get Iron Hands anyways, though? Is that what they're thinking here? It's like, well, if they Iron Hands us, we think we lose anyway, so let's just go ahead and put the extra energy there so we can just do it again next turn. But I guess, what is the gain here, I guess, maybe a little bit? There's only 1 Comfey on board at this point now.
Right. It looks like the prize map that they're trying to set up, they're expecting, like you said, the hands response, then they can Ursaluna their hands, and then something gets responded to by the Fernandez brothers, and then maybe they double gate hands for their last prize.
Oh, the Fernandez play Manaphy too. I didn't even realize that, and it was in the prize cards they had heavy ball. So they just made the call there that they didn't think it would happen. I think.
Well, again, they didn't have the matchup information.
Oh,
they
that's
didn't
true.
Know this was a Lost Zone deck.
Well, yeah, that's actually kind of crazy how that actually works out there. Yeah, they didn't know for sure it was Lost Zone. They saw the Ursaluna start. It's like, well, if it is Lost Zone, they have 0 in their Lost Zone. Okay, maybe we can risk it or whatever. And they do. And then the turn one, or not turn one, turn 2 Greninja, but it was basically draw pass into the turn 2 Greninja happens. Right.
Draw with no energy in hand. The deck can do so many explosive things. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. It can come out of nowhere.
This is kind of a tough Lost Zone call here. You feel like you need the energy. I don't remember if they had how many lightning they had access to currently, but I think we might need that Nest Ball as well. Like, you can't Greninja without the Nest Ball. The Roxanne's a dead card.
Yeah, it definitely becomes tough. I guess one of the questions would be just like, do we care about going for Greninja, or are we more set on the Iron Hands route? We have the Iron Hands in hand already, but they end up on the Nest Ball here. So I guess that means maybe they're just thinking about preserving it for later as well, like to potentially get their own Ursaluna back to respond to an Iron Hands is a thing, I guess. So could just be thinking a little bit towards the future in terms of that. A big card in the mirror match that we actually saw Fernandez prioritize off their first chorus, I believe, on that last turn was the Roxanne, which is a really big card to make comebacks happen in the mirror match. It's actually one of those things you want to avoid, is going down to 3 prize cards, almost preemptively, right? You want to almost have have your board state be as set up as possible before you go into that Roxanne range.
And I think that's why we've seen the Kamerman brothers have done a great job here. They send all of the energy out of their deck, which is good and bad. They can't conceal cards, but they'll have access to it with Super Rod if they need it. But they know that for the most part, off of Pokestop, off of Colress, they're going to hit item cards. They're going to hit the cards that they need to, rather than having to make choices about losing energy permanently. And we can kind of recover from there. Or if they go into that Roxanne range, like I had mentioned at one point, doing a Kamerman for a single prize, putting yourself on that odd prize map makes it very easy to fall into the trap of being 2 knockouts away from winning and only having 2 cards in your hand.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to try and avoid that as much as possible. And we see they're getting aggressive here. They've got the Greninja. The gates are online. They haven't used a supporter yet. They have the Pokegear to hopefully find a Colress, I'm assuming. And then they're close to the Greninja attack here. Response. Now they have this Manaphy in play to protect the double Comfey that they did end up putting in play. So, yeah, they're looking to just kind of do right back to what the Kamerman side did to them previously. Just remove 2 Comfeys from the field here. And would be able to remove that rescue board, which would be nice as well.
Right. And I think I like this. It's not putting a 2-prizer in play. So if the Kamermans want to take 2 prizes, they have to commit Iron Hands and their last 2 gates to the board.
Yeah, but they end up with the boss, which is not what they were looking for, right? So no Colress. They're going to go boss Ursaluna and pass.
And just praying that Lost Zone doesn't have a switch card is almost never the right thing to do. But, play to your outs.
Yeah, but the board, in this situation, the board state's not overly vulnerable, though, I feel like, on the Fernandez side. They got the Manaphy to protect from the Greninja play. The Iron Hand, they don't know that Iron Hands can't be a threat here, but we know that, right? And the Kamerman side knows that as well. They know they can't use Iron Hands here, right? Because they prize that gate, and it's still prized. Right. So they could either cram the active, or maybe a play, honestly, I think I would like to see would be attack with Sableye, but don't take a knockout. And just put 6 on Manaphy, 6 on Comfey or something like that.
I actually can't. Is Sableye in the deck right now?
A good question. did it end up being prized?
I can't remember.
There's a Nest Ball, so if it is in there...
If it is in there, then we can go grab it. I know that we are down a Psychic right now. We did discard 1 with Moonlight Shuriken last turn, so we can Super Rod it back in, no problem. The awkward thing is having to use a gate to potentially get it out.
Yeah, that would be awkward for sure.
And we're not quite at 10 yet, but we do have a switch card. That'll get us to 10.
Yeah, so we can definitely get to 10. Yeah, and that would be the question, is how much are we trying to play around Roxanne here, which we just mentioned can be the big way to make the comeback. That's what you want to avoid, is that odd prize card.
Right.
Because not only do you need to get 2 more knockouts potentially after you get Roxanne, you could get Roxanne again through the Pal Pad. So even if you recover from the first one, they get hit with it again, and then you could be in trouble.
Right. And I think I like the idea of what you said, just spreading a bunch of damage to Sableye, not necessarily taking a prize card, and put the pressure back on the other side of the board without having to really commit much yourself.
Yeah. And then we got plenty of super rods to recover Sableye to do it again and get those two prize cards.
I think we're having a sequencing discussion right now, trying to determine, do we want to Pokestop? Do we want to Flower Selecting? Do we want to use concealed cards?
Yeah, there's quite a few options here, and they're going through it. Ooh. A tough one.
This is a tough one. I think you have to take hands here, though, because I think that's going to end up being our win con at the end of the day. Is just going to be boss hands for our last two prizes.
Yeah, I think we're hoping to get potentially the gate off the next two, or even just like, I guess we can't really get that. The bench is awkward. That Ursaluna makes it awkward because we could have benched hands this turn and attached to it, and then even maybe even attacked with Cram, although it doesn't feel great. Then all of a sudden that one gate could get us there. But it looks like they're going for the Pal Pad, giving up on the hands.
That's interesting to me. I think that signals the bench is a lot safer now from the Fernandez side of the board.
Yep. A lot safer.
And especially now we don't have the Sableye option either. I'm wondering why they don't want to use the Pokestop here.
Yeah. That is actually curious, the lack of wanting to use Pokestop. I'm thinking about what's in the deck that they really don't want to Pokestop away here. The boss is in the hand. I guess Roxanne would be in there, but they had the Pal Pad, so they could have put it back.
Right. Now we've got two extra Colress in there. We're adding energy back into the deck. So now it's out of the question. I guess they never intended to click it this turn. But if we were going to, I feel like we should have done it a while ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to, and also after we saw the Iron Hands as well, go to the Lost Zone, that's even one less thing we could have gotten rid of. The only thing I can think of is Sableye, unless it's prized, is like the only thing you wouldn't want to discard there. But if we're not using Sableye this turn, it feels like the time to use Sableye is dwindling.
Correct.
They're doing it. They're going on that odd prize card. This is going to open up that Roxanne play.
And honestly, if it wasn't for taking this prize card, I think the Fernandez brothers were just kind of done for. We would have been praying off the Pokestop Flower Selecting gods to save the day for us. Top decking the energy is nice.
Yeah, now we got some options here. What route do you want to see them take? They could attack with hands. They could try and maybe they couldn't. I guess if they find Pride Catcher, they could trap Ursaluna and Sableye around it, or even Greninja around it.
So I think we should have just Pokestopped first, knowing that if we want to play the Super Rod to recover energies to be able to gate them, I think you hit the Pokestop first, try to get as many gates as you can out of your deck, and then you can bench hands, you can rock sand, you can get things rolling from there. But all of these things kind of diluting our deck is not going to help us get there at the end of the day.
Yeah, it feels like hitting Pokestop first there. If we're gonna hit Pokestop in this sequence of this turn, hitting it there first might have been best, and seeing what we had gotten. And then if we had drawn into like this vacuum, we could have then vacuumed away the Pokestop before we hit the Roxanne, which is probably something else we want to do, right? If we're gonna Roxanne, we want to get this Pokestop out of play.
And now we're in this awkward situation where if you Pokestop, you potentially discard some of those waters you just put back in your deck.
Yeah. And
you're praying that you hit one of your last couple of Super Rods again as well.
So Heavy, I thought we were maybe going to vacuum that Poffin to get rid of the Pokestop right there, but Heavy, they're prioritizing that second Comfey over the vacuum use there, which means this Pokestop might end up in play at the end of the turn, which could be a big way for the Kamerman side to recover after the Roxanne.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, having the Kamerman stuck active is not the worst thing for them, being able to snipe two of these Comfies off the bench. Freeing up the bench space is kind of something that you do want to avoid, but we do have to take prize cards eventually. We have to knock something out.
Yeah, something's got to go at some point. We can't just sit here forever and not draw. Well, then we will just lose the Cram punching us over and over again. So
Right.
Can't let that happen.
Although this could also be another situation where if you had your one-of counter catcher, you could gust up the Ursaluna since you haven't taken any prize cards, and this could have been a Sableye in reverse, especially while the other side is board locked. But the Greninja with 2 energy being able to just take a prize card when you need it to is still an option. We're going to probably exercise that option at some point now that we are on an odd prize map from the Kamerman side.
Yeah. Yeah, the hands going is not great. We did find the vacuum though, so we can bump that Pokestop.
Sure.
So that we did end up with it in the end to be able to make that play. But yeah, losing the I mean, even the rescue board is like something you want to save.
It's just awkward.
Yeah, it's just awkward for sure. And yeah, here comes the Greninja hit. I mean, we're assuming 2 Comfies are going down here. There's no reason to really hit anything else that I can see.
Right. How do you feel about not using the extra switch card and using the extra flower selecting there just to get more resources in the hand? Do you think the deck size is too low and that's why they chose not to do it?
I think one reason would be we maybe need to save the switch cards to play around Sableye moving forward.
Okay.
Because otherwise, like 2 Sableye attacks could put us out, right?
True.
So I think probably just saving the switch cards to combat Sableye spread moving forward. Just make sure we have answers for that option as well. Especially because that's like that might just be the biggest threat available to the Kamermans here, because Greninja got the Manaphy around the Greninja, and Hands is in the Lost Zone for them as well, so it's just gone.
Right.
All right, so we'll see what those 2 cards are. Couple of switches. All in on the flower selecting. Oof.
There's the Sableye. Losing the Super Rod is not great, but I feel like you can't not take Sableye at this point.
Yeah, I feel like Sableye has to be the take. But then what do? Pass? Attack with Cram? Well, the attack with Cram, I guess, isn't useless, because if we eventually get into a Psychic and into the Sableye, we can clean up from there.
Right.
This is
the
literally
awkward thing is just like stranding the Cramorant active.
Yep.
Just because we would be down all of our switch cards, we'd be down our energy.
This is exactly what we were talking about earlier, right? It's like you go on that odd prize card when you're not as set up or not as close to winning, and having to get 2 knockouts from this situation just gets giving your opponent access to Roxanne almost too soon can be so detrimental.
And then again, just not hitting the gate off of that prize card, being less likely to get the gate off of the Roxanne, makes things really awkward here too. Otherwise, we probably would have just seen the Ursaluna Super Rod response, and it would have been totally fine.
Yep. Oh my goodness. The Hands is back online here already for the Fernandez side as well. Double gate, Nest Ball, Rod. Oh, is there enough energy though? Because we have to recover the Hands now.
They should still have 1 energy in deck, I believe.
Okay, so that'll be just enough then. I'm not sure what the Lost Zone prize card count is quite like, but yeah, I think they'll be able to pull off that. And that's what you go with here. Hands, knockout, Cram. I guess the response is going to be that Ursaluna, though. Then the Ursaluna can swing back. Do you have an answer for Ursaluna? Man, this is still kind of awkward.
Right. I think... I like this. Let's look at our other options before we really commit to anything.
We got time. Yeah, we have we can look at this. See, yeah, I'm trying to like piece together, like, because yeah, if we go with the Hands here, Ursaluna KOs us. We don't have an answer for Ursaluna. We definitely can't Hands again. But I guess could you just 2-hit KO the Ursaluna at that point with like Cram into your own Ursaluna and be safe?
Exactly. You could. I think you could also do something with Sableye from their side now, where you just set up. You again can gust up the. Now that we have the Prime Catcher, we can gust up the Ursaluna, Sableye to the bench, spread some stuff out. Or again, just punch it with something just to get damage set up on it.
Oh, they might be.
I totally forgot their Ursaluna's gone too.
That's so much stuff. So, but they're eyeing up the Ursaluna. So it looks like they're going to use Ursaluna here to potentially punch the Kamerman Ursaluna, which I don't hate that play.
Right. I like it a good bit as well, just because we only have to commit 1 gate to make that work.
Yep.
Whereas the Hands uses way more resources.
And then the answer's on board, right? Just in the other Ursaluna.
Exactly. Whereas here we can Ursaluna, if they do knock out our Ursaluna, we can Super Rod it back in again. And by then, if we need to get back to that Ursaluna the last time, it'll be a free attacker. We won't have to worry about our gates.
Yeah.
Just Ursaluna having 260 HP is so much.
It's a lot. Do you think we're always going for... Are we always punching their Ursaluna here, or are we just caving the Cram with our Ursaluna here? Oh, wait.
I actually wonder... I think... Are we using both gates then? Or are they going to gust up the Ursaluna and then snipe with Greninja to soften it up while they take the Comfey off the board?
Oh, that could be the play as well, I guess. Yeah, okay, I could see that. And then we're down to 3 prize cards, which means they would need another energy to actually be able to... Oh, nope, we're just going to go for the Ursaluna punch. That means we do have to attach active here. Okay.
Which is fine.
Then the Greninja's play could happen next turn, right? Punch with Ursaluna.
Right.
I guess the question is, like, which one is better to do now? Maybe the heavier punch makes more sense now, actually, because if they do the Greninja play, the Ursaluna runs, you don't have a way to gust it up. So do this now in case of the switch card. Over to the... Oof.
But that is just nothing.
Yep. The question is, well, there's no energy to recover, so I was going to say that would be the only thing to think about. Oh, man. Back
And
over.
again, I mean, they've got 3 of their energy stuck on the board. I think they lost zone 1 or 2. They had a couple prized already.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this actually kind of all comes back to that turn where they attacked with the Cram. I wonder if
Right.
was Sableye available. That's what I'm curious about now. I actually don't know for sure. It might not have been.
Well, we know it was in the deck because
Yeah.
they found it with flower selecting later.
That's
I
true.
think the one thing I almost wonder if it would have been better just to not attack. If you're going to do any, like, if you're not going to use Sableye, you would a strategic pass be the better option.
Honestly, yeah. I guess that comes down to like how much in fear are we playing around them having Roxanne next turn.
Right.
Should we be playing in fear of that? We're not always gonna have it. It is a high priority card though. You know, as they're sequencing through their deck, it's a card that they would keep off a Colress or something like that.
For sure.
Yeah, and then here comes this Greninja attack. They're gonna clean up the Ursaluna, KO the Comfey, go down to one prize card remaining here, and then they have their own Ursaluna on the back line ready to close it out. So I don't even know what is the. I see on the Kamerman side, it's got to be knockout with Ursaluna plus Roxanne. I almost feel like.
Yeah, you'd almost have to. Yeah, I mean, well, even your Cramorant's not safe because they can Sableye from the Fernandez side. So I don't know if there's any way to come back in this one, honestly.
Yeah, and with the top deck being Boss and not Roxanne, I think Roxanne had to be the top deck there. I mean, you can boss up the Manaphy, but they probably, well, we know they have a way to get out of there. And I think the Kamermans probably know they have a way to get out as well. Yeah, that Manaphy's not going to be stuck.
We'll probably see it.
Yeah, as well. Oh, it looked like they were going up towards the concede, towards the gear in the top right. But yeah, they're going to bring up the Manaphy, pass it over, and then we'll see Fernandez taking game 1 here off the back of that. Roxanne, I don't want to really call it a comeback because the game was still a little bit back and forth at the point that Roxanne happened, but they found Roxanne. They played Roxanne on 3. That's where you don't want to be on the other side.
Yeah, Roxanne was real. It often is not, but this time it worked out.
Yeah. Did work out. I'll make sure I got the scoreboard set up correctly. There we go. Fernandez up 1-0. Reminder for everyone in chat, it is 1st to 5. Fernandez got their lost box out of the way. So now Kamerman side, they'll get to pick 1st or 2nd here, moving into the next game. Now that we've seen it, it's what you told me to ask you. Now that we've seen what they both threw out there first, how are you feeling about one side or the other? Obviously, the Fernandez are up 1-0, but
I think we're still kind of at parity because this is a situation where the Kamermans can pretty freely queue up Charizard, in my opinion, now that the Lost Box is gone. But, you know, it's hard to argue. We can get some momentum from the Fernandez side, and maybe that'll just carry him through.
All right, let me make sure the players understand our procedure moving forward.
Or do you have the mind game now where you know your Lost Box is gone? Do you expect the Kamermans to bring Charizard and then queue up stall?
Yeah, I guess that'd be kind of the thing to think about right there. And that's like a matchup you definitely want to potentially go with. One of the things that I've talked about a little bit with James Cox about this, because he's done a couple of these now, is that and he's worked with Brent Tonneson, who's like played Hearthstone at a decently high level, I believe. So at the end of the day, it is just a little random. Like you just start going back and forth down the tree of decisions, and at some point you just have to like kind of just send out a deck. So he always says that it's a little bit random in the long run, or in the long run it's always a little bit random. So you just kind of got to send something at some point. But there are some things that make a little bit more sense than others for sure. That'll be kind of a question, I guess. That's going to be like a big one to try and dodge. Then I guess will be trying to dodge the Charizard away from the stall. But you can't wait too long.
I'm wondering. So in this meta, what other matchup do you think they would want to be queuing stall into?
Oh man, on which side? On both sides, I guess.
From the Fernandez side specifically.
The Fernandez.
I mean, I guess
side?
it would be for both. Because if I was queuing up something like this, I don't know if I would have chosen to bring stall. I don't necessarily know what my 7th deck would have been, but I don't think that I would have had stall that high on my priority list.
Probably Lost Box has to be one of the top ones you're trying to hit here. You're trying to avoid Lugia. Raging Bolt has always felt pretty favorable for Raging Bolt, or like it's solid. It's close though. It can be close. Regidrago, I guess one of them I'm a little bit less familiar with. but they got the penny, and yeah, theoretically you can just only put down things that are able to attack. So yeah, I would have to assume, and you got the Legacy Star as well. If you can save that and recover penny, use it again, Prime Catcher.
Right.
So I have to imagine it's got to be Lost Box. If not the Charizard, you're trying to find the Lost Box for sure.
Okay.
Because the Kamermans did not bring the Spiritomb. On the other side, Fernandez did bring the Spiritomb.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. So that'd be like the one to look out for, I think. All right, they're queuing up. Just making sure the players understand the procedure. Yeah, so the Kamermans will be picking first or second. All right. Should be all good.
Cool.
So it looks like they queued up Lost Box again. They just ran it back, and they are going second here, which I believe Fernandez chose second in the first game as well with the Lost Box.
Correct.
And yeah, I'm so much.
No, and they got that stall.
Oh wait, I gotta go back to the
Spoilers for Chad, since I guess you're on the other POV. But
there you're good. I switched over. I forgot to bring up the gameplay first though. But now we're good. Yeah, they did bring the stall, and this is a matchup they would want, right? Like they were like, all right, Charizard or stall, or Charizard or the Lost Zone deck. They don't have the Spiritomb. Usually, pretty favorable matchup for stall when you can run it. But this opening hand here, lacking a little bit. Immediately into the flute for no hits, no Rotom. Do you put down the Mimikyu? Or are you afraid of getting donked? What could even KO this? You could get KO'd by.
I mean, I guess technically you could get KO'd by hands.
Yeah, that's true. You have the tool card, but it could get vacuumed. Man, do you put the Mimikyu down to protect yourself here?
That's tough. I mean, you've got Snorlax active, so it takes even more resources to get something else active and attacking.
Yeah, can't do the retreat.
You're putting the tool down, so that's another vacuum they have to spend on your resources rather than increasing their loss zone. I think you're okay to just stick the Snorlax.
Yeah, I think, you're probably right. With the cape, you're probably safe. And then you're still, I guess, relying on a top deck and a Pokegear next turn, but that's likely you'll be able to find something. Well, I mean, I guess it's just Arven or Iono on that side. So we could see the Donk here. We'll see how good the hand is. They already have the Colress off the start, though, so that's a good start.
Right. And it's a pretty easy Colress, too. We know we're never going to use the Roxanne.
Yeah, the hand not that explosive, though. Probably not seeing a turn one knockout.
I don't know. Pokestop could change that.
That's true. You never know. If it hits like Poff and double switch or something, that gets your third Comfey. You start cooking from there. It could all come together. It could all come together here. We'll see how aggressive they want to be.
Not having gates in our hand makes it a lot more difficult, though. So I don't think we're really going to see anything going from here.
Yeah. I guess like another thing to think about here maybe as well. I mean, do you ever try and avoid giving the Pokestop to the Fernandez? They had a slow start.
Right. But again, this kind of goes back to the first game. We don't know how slow their start is because all they do is put a tool down and pass.
Yeah. We don't know for sure.
I mean, I guess that tells us they didn't have Nest Ball, they didn't have Rotom, but we don't know really anything else beyond that.
Yeah. Do we feel like if they have an Arven, they're probably going to be comfortable anyways? Maybe just be a little bit more aggressive. But you never know like when that could actually change. Like all of a sudden now they could Pokestop into Nest Ball instead of playing Arven, they Eerie you, right? So that could be like it like opens up them to be potentially more aggressive. That's a tough two right there.
And actually, so I'm going full transparency. I'm sure that you have way more Snorlax and stall experience than I do. How useful from the stall perspective is the Pokestop?
You have a lot of bad cards for a lot of matchups as stall. So and you have a lot of recovery, right? You got the Pal Pads. So and also now that lists are playing like double Rotom, there's like no risk of like milling your lone Rotom before you would get it potentially. So you can usually be reasonably aggressive with it. Especially because like a lot of matchups you can potentially just get down to the loop anyways. But the biggest thing is like you just have Pal Pads to basically recover any of your bad cards. So if it can turn into a way more explosive turn, like this turn if we had like Bench Rotom plus Eerie, that would be basically perfect on the Fernandez side.
Sure.
You basically want to you want to Eerie before they can gate. That's the goal. And there's an S-Ball and there's a Force Heal Stone in hand. So so we have the turn one Eerie or turn two Eerie. Turn one would be good as well going second. But yeah, basically you just want to Eerie before they can use the Mirage Gates. So that way you limit how much. And sometimes you don't even discard the Mirage Gates if you see them in the hand. But that way it's like if their hand only has Mirage Gates, or it's like one Mirage Gate, one switch card, it's that much harder for them to be able to actually start rolling on the next turn. So I imagine that's what we're going to see here, is just go use the Force Seal Stone, get Eerie, play Eerie. But we'll see. Maybe they have something else.
They don't have an Eerie in their deck.
Was there no Eerie in there?
No.
Oh my god. Wait, are they all? How many did they play? It's probably 2. Would be my guess.
Let me see.
I doubt they're playing
they've got 2, and it looks like they're both priced.
That's a pretty big deal for this matchup. That's a pretty big deal.
That's crazy.
I honestly, I'm trying to think about it. I'm not sure I'm not sure if you can win. Because the Kamermans aren't going to
be if they have full access to gate.
Yeah. I guess the Serena could be a pretty big deal as we progress here. That could be a pretty big deal. The heal from that, because we're not going to be taking 1-hit KOs every turn. I guess with this build, though, specifically of Lost Box, you don't have that many heavy hitters, though. Right.
And your big thing's the Ursaluna, which we could block with the Cornerstone Ogrepon.
Yeah. You don't have, like the Roaring Moon that people usually have had in the past, which is the big one. And we'll see what they're able to pull off here, though, on their first attacking. I assume they're going to get off an attack this turn. We'll see. It looks like they were about to click the Pokestop, so they're probably having that debate, Pokestop versus Colress right now.
Well, and then there's the awkward situation where, in this matchup specifically, you're giving your opponent clues, like they don't know the Eries are prized. So you're trying to figure out what information do I want to provide my opponent with here.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you definitely don't want to let them know you don't have Eries. But on the Lost Box side, it's usually just best to be like, all right, I'm not going to overly play like you have Eerie. It's just if you have it, that kind of sucks. Because if you just play all your switch cards or all your super odds, all your gates, then your opponent's going to win because you just don't have any cards to use for follow-up plays. So to try and be a little bit conservative on it and just kind of hope they don't have Eerie after Eerie after Eerie. And yeah, I think I like these 3 takes, right? The vacuums are good. Oh, but Michael for the Coalition said, I kind of like the vacuum take, though.
I think I agree with you, but I was a little bit torn at first, thinking that they don't really have anything for next turn, depending on what the flower selectings do, of course. But
yeah, they had the Palpad in hand though, so I mean they could have played that before they went into the Comfies maybe. I don't hate the Culver's take, of course, but yeah, the vacuums are pretty nice to be able to remove those.
We've got to move this cape at some point.
Yeah, I don't think we want to hit into the Cape Snorlax. It's just gonna get pennied, right?
Right.
Want to go for those.
And like you said, not having the moon, we have no way whatsoever to get rid of anything that's got this big of an HP boost.
Yeah, literally, there's no way to one-hit KO this. All right, there's another one though.
Well, never punished. We get the vacuum anyway.
Yeah. Can we get to? Well, we just milled Cram. We just don't have an attacker. There's just nothing here, and
not having a nest ball either is just so weird.
Yeah. No, man, this is tough. No nest ball. No Iron Hands.
And this is the like two turns worth of Colress, 2 turns worth of Pokestop. Like this is the hand where you say, okay, well I'm gonna get Eerie this turn, and not having anything to gate to makes things just really awkward from this perspective.
Yeah, I'm very curious if there's going to be a point where we can confidently say, okay, both the Eerie's being prized was basically being telegraphed. But I don't think we've hit that yet, and that's something the Fernandez need to try and avoid. They need to like not put Force Seal Stone in play, stuff like that. So they need to try and play in a way that doesn't tell the Kamermans that they prized. Oh, I feel like that does it. I feel like if you don't Eerie here, you're trolling. So this basically tells them that the Eries are prized, right?
Yes.
And now you should just go aggressive with Misfortune Sisters as well as the Fernandez here. Like I feel like you have to do the other thing. I guess there was maybe that's the argument, right? It's like you do just have to go with Misfortune Sisters here, so now you should just go get Misfortune Sisters. And they saw them eyeing up Iono and the sister, and also Erica's maybe they were considering. There's a really big hand over there. There's a good chance there's a basic Pokemon in there. It's just not the one they want.
Sure. Yeah, the awkward thing is that there's just not.
Yeah, there's none. All right, they do find one switch card.
The Super Rod's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, the Kamerman brothers went out of their way not to put Greninja down, so I guess it's not as big of a card in this matchup, but
yeah, it's not going to matter quite as much. Honestly, I wouldn't hate to see. Well, maybe you want to find a couple more of your Snorlax before you start hitting Pokestop. I wouldn't hate to see it because even if you mill your second sisters, you got the Palpad to recover both. But
Sure.
Just goes for the draw 3 off the Rotom. And hopefully we see an attack finally on the Kamerman side. And also all their energy's in their hand. They have 5 energy in their hand.
Right. Honestly, at this point, I think the Iona would have helped them more than it hurt them.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. They just need to get Iron Hands on the bench and start attaching to it. I feel like Iron Hands has to be the better of the two over the Ursaluna, right? But I guess it's close, because I guess you could just like pass every other turn with the Ursaluna in the active.
And it's going to put the most pressure on overall until the difficult thing is going to be when the Ogerpon comes out. And if they can get to a lone Ogerpon board, there's no way to really respond to it.
Yeah, with the Ursaluna, you'd have to like retreat. So maybe that's a reason just to go into the Iron Hands now, is just because, well, if you go for the Ursaluna, you have to put 5 energy on it, and then you have to get the energy off it, and then get the energy back onto the Iron Hands, because of the Ogerpon. Or I guess even, Mimikyu is going to be a situation as well. But I guess we'll have Cram to answer that one way or the other, so it won't be as bad. We'll see what they end up going with. They're debating. They're thinking what we're thinking, but they're not sure either.
I think that at this point, though, like, I don't know. Knowing how many, not having access to just getting the bundle out would be kind of important here. Being able to push around this so we don't necessarily have to vacuum yet. And you can save that vacuum to be able to take out like a caped Mimikyu at some point.
Yeah.
Because I think this is our second vacuum, I believe. I know we lost zoned one of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're down 1 vacuum. Think about going to Colress. I mean, deck out has to be like a thing to think about here. The Chi-Yu
for sure
can all of a sudden just start milling. Gotta be careful about that. It's a pretty easy Colress as well. It's like, what bad cards do you want?
Right.
Besides the Colress, I guess. But even the Colress isn't good here anymore at this point. Oh, okay.
Oh, I totally forgot about Thorns as a response to the Ogerpon. I mean, I know it doesn't one-hit KO it, but it's just a persistent attacker that can just keep chugging.
Oh, and they're getting aggressive with it.
You get to conserve energy with it as well.
Yeah. I guess one thing with that, though, I mean, I guess
eventually we run out of lightning energy, though.
Yeah.
Or energy in general, if we continue to attack with it.
Yeah, so we're finally getting aggressive.
Nothing's ever getting KO'd. Right.
This is really unfortunate for the Kamerman side overall, because like this is the game where it's like, okay, it's a tough matchup, but they prize double Eerie. They don't know that, of course. At this point, I feel like they probably know that. They should know that double Eerie are prized. Like, oh, they prize double Eerie, and they had a really slow start. And you can't even take advantage of like the situation where you're supposed to be able to win this matchup. Like this is the game you're supposed to win this matchup on the Lost Box side, and it's like we didn't attack till turn 3, and all we did was punch a Snorlax and get pennied. Now we see the Pokestop used finally here on the Fernandez side. I'm not sure what they milled there. They got 2 hits though on the items, I think.
No, they got 3. They got another Pal Pad. They got the Nest Ball, and I believe Pokegear was the last one.
And they're cooking.
Yeah, Pokegear.
Snorlax set up. They have an Artisan in hand as well, so they can get rid of the Pokestop. I guess that doesn't really matter too much, but start to build out that board a little bit more. I almost wonder if they should have saved this Nest Ball, maybe just gone to the Artisan for another Snorlax. Save the Nest Ball so you can get access to the Chi-Yu or the Ogerpon. When it makes sense to go get those instead.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, you're not. I don't know. You're not really overly threatened by the Pokestop at this point. You know that.
Oh, I guess we are shutting down I completely forgot. We're shutting down Rotom here with Iron Thorns. I like completely went over my head right there for a second.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But even then, I think it's not that much pressure just because it can never knock out a Snorlax.
Yeah, we're never one-hitting a Snorlax. So the question is, how many pennies can be found? Or I guess like just once one prize card gets drawn, then all of a sudden counter catcher's online, and then we're back into Rotom, right? It's not even, we don't have to wait that long. Yeah, so we just need like a prize card to happen here. Here's the push on the Mimikyu to make things awkward. And yeah, now on the Kamerman side, they got to get what, Sableye or Ram. Get this knockout now. Ram's gone.
The other awkward thing is that just right now, the Fernandez brothers don't have access to that fire energy for the Chi-Yu, because at some point that's going to be their win con here. We're going to Misfortune Sisters down to a low number of cards and just Chi-Yu to win the game.
Yeah, we're getting closer. There's only 8 cards left in the deck here. I don't even know how many Pokemon and energy are in the discard pile. Like, I don't even know if these Super Rots can be played.
Right. How do you feel about clogging the bench here without having a penny in hand?
I mean, I guess like if there's no prize cards being drawn, we'll be okay. Oh, they put down the Radiant Serena, but they can't use it because of the Iron Thorn.
Oh, jeez.
So I think a little bit of a brain fart there. They were like, all right, is it worth healing this damage to put this on the bench? Is what they were thinking for sure, and completely forgot that Iron Thorns actually shuts it down. But yeah, not gonna get value out of that. Okay, Super Rod is playable. I guess they could always use Iron Bundle as well. A little bit of push. They're going for the boss. They can KO that Snorlax. That gets them 2 prize cards to get things going here.
Yeah.
They still need to find 4 more.
And then denying that cape for the rest of the game, well, unless it gets silened, is also pretty good.
Yep. Can't be looped with the penny. That is definitely a pretty big deal. When you don't have a way to one-hit KO through that cape. And now you can save your vacuum for the other tool cards, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Looks like it's just going to be that punch, get the first 2 prize cards. But yeah, the biggest thing is they only have 9 cards left in the deck. They're like a Sisters. You know, a couple turns from now, Sisters plus GU, like you said, is going to probably wrap this one up. It's gonna be hard for them to get these next 4 prize cards like very aggressively. And now we'll see the counter catchers come online, which means they'll be able to get back into Rotom, which means they can probably find all the stuff that they're looking for. Back over to them.
Although these draws have just not been very helpful throughout the course of the game so far.
Yeah, they don't have like a ton of options. They have triple Pal Pad, so but they don't have like the options that they're looking for.
Right, because I think the only supporters we've played so far are Arven and Misfortune.
Yep.
I mean, at this point, do you Pokestop just to try to find item cards, and then if you mill the supporter, you're fine because you have 3 Pal Pads?
I feel like, yeah, this is like those situations where it wouldn't be bad to go for that. I guess maybe you'd want to get that last Snorlax out of your deck first, because that could be like the only thing. Oh.
Okay.
Ogerpon did go down, but I feel like the Mimikyu kind of serves the same purpose here, and they did find Iron Hands, which is, I mean, I guess it's not that annoying to begin with, no matter what here, because you have the Comfies.
Yeah, you've got the Comfy stack, but you also see that from the other side of the board, there's 4 energy on board already. Like, if they commit 1 more, that Hands is not going to be able to ever do anything besides arm press. And now it's like every single energy attachment just becomes more and more taxed the more this bench gets filled.
Yeah, and then the boss did get recovered, so like that would be a way to like easily move Comfy, but you can't really boss retreat in Iron Hands anymore at this point. They go into the Silene this turn as the supporter. I don't even know what they're going to recover here. I think they probably just played it because they didn't have anything else to play, but it's like, yeah, there's nothing that high value in the discard pile right now, I don't think.
I was thinking the Pokegear maybe, just to try to find the penny.
Yeah, I don't hate that actually. And then you could Pal Pad back the Sisters next turn if that becomes what you want. The Iono would be decent as well, though. See them eyeing that up.
I feel like I was thinking we don't want to take the Iono just because the Kamerman's hand is so big, and that deck out is going to be our win condition at some point.
Yeah, that is reasonable, though. For sure. No, they did grab the Iono. Yeah, it would almost make more sense to just get the Pokegear this turn to potentially then just Pal Pad back the Iono and maybe find it that way.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll see what the Kamermans choose to do here. They got, I mean, they got plenty of switch cards. They got 3 switch cards in hand. I'm not sure what their current switch card count is at for discard pile and Lost Zone and all that. They do play, what, 8 of them? Or are they playing the 7, actually? I'm going to look real fast.
They're playing 7, and I think it looks like 2 of them were not prized, but discarded. There's 1 in their prize cards as well. Also
a vacuum in there. So that's a card to take note of. But yeah, no way to take a knockout this turn, I don't think. Not that I see. Unless we get into the... Ooh, could we get into the Sableye, I guess? Sableye could KO Mimikyu. That would be a prize card, I guess. Did you want to start
trying to think if there was a way... I almost wish that one of the energies on the Ursaluna was a lightning. I'm just trying to think if there was a way that we could do some sort of, boss, switch to Ursaluna, retreat Ursaluna, double gate to hands, and then amp something.
Yeah.
Not amp, but arm press. But just having all these energies stuck in hand makes things so... everything's so clunky right now.
Yeah, it definitely is. And they were thinking about putting down the Sableye. I think I definitely want to see them use the Iron Bundle before they'd ever put Sableye down, just so they can super rot it back to the deck and like have one more card to be super rotted back. Potentially. They're actually... Well, I guess they knew the Silene recovered Iono. Like, they know that as well. So it looks like they're almost like playing to like burn cards here as they played that first Nest Ball, playing the second Nest Ball. So if they do get Iono, they don't get stuck or decrease the odds of them getting stuck as the game progresses. They're going into the Sableye here. They are preserving the Iron Bundle, though, which I guess is a little bit weird for them to not use the Iron Bundle. Not sure about that.
I guess the only thing I could think of is that it's a card that is not an item off of Misfortune Sisters. I mean, I know, like you said, you could super rod it at some point, but other than that, I don't know if there's a solid reason to hold on to it.
That's true. I don't even know if they're at 10 in the Lost Zone either. I'm not sure what the count is.
I think they're at 9.
Okay.
If I remember correctly from the last time it popped up on the screen.
So they're opting not to take a knockout here. They're just gonna, instead of going, or I guess they would have to like switch into another Comfey, use that Comfey, and then switch into Sableye.
Switch, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be too costly. So maybe just going for this 140. Some of it does get healed from the Serena, but oh well. And then it's still a 2-hit KO with the Thorns, but you are going to be running out of energy here soon for the Iron Thorns attacks. You only have 2 more in hand. All right, there we go. 140, no knockout. And where is this going to go? Over to the Ursaluna. All right.
And so this is the point where, every single energy that they have left in their deck. Actually, no, you could freely gust the Iron Hands now because they will never be able to attack with it. They've got 2 lightning stuck on board.
Yep.
And like, what do they get? They're just going to have to burn switch cards every time.
Yep. And it's better than bringing up a Comfey, because the Comfey will be able to use the Flower Selecting, or like Boss Retreat the Comfey is like a possibility as well.
Right.
But yeah, Iron Hands can't do anything. Can't do anything out of it. I guess you could even have attacked with Comfey if you really wanted to. But there's the counter catcher. Penny getting played as well. Once again, have access to that Rotom. They still have potentially 2 counter catchers left. I didn't catch how many were prized.
Right. Yeah, the thing I'm stuck on here, I still don't understand the reasoning behind grabbing the Iono.
Yeah, especially when they weren't like, this isn't the only way they could ever get access to Iono, right? Was a Silene Head. Right. They have 3 Palpat in hand. You put a Pokegear on top of the deck, like you mentioned, and you just give yourself a ton of options to get like any supporter onto that next turn. Oh, they're going to go for a Pokestop hit here, which seems fine.
And there's another counter catcher.
Yeah,
do have 2 Penny in our discard now, so we'll see that Palpad snap down immediately.
Yeah, and that seems like what they're going for here is just counter catcher Penny every single turn, build towards that Sisters Chi-Yu potential. I'm sure like playing a Sisters here wouldn't be terrible if they could find one, and there's one, so maybe that'll come down next turn.
Yeah, we still haven't seen a Fire Energy or the Chi-Yu.
Yeah.
So at some point we'd have to find both of those together to really close things out.
Yeah. We are getting closer. All right. 2 switches in hand.
I don't even know what the game plan is from here.
Yeah, you can't quite KO the Mimikyu because, like you said, you thought they were at, what, 9 in the Lost Zone?
I believe so. So
Sableye can't attack yet. They're going in with the Super Rod here. Maybe just going for the Water Energy?
I don't know. I feel like you have to load every card you can back in just for the mill.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we have another Super Rod. So maybe we're fine with that.
Maybe it will be okay. I guess they could have gone for some kind of retreat play here on one of the Pokemon.
I guess we're going to boss the Rotom, maybe?
Yeah, just get 2 prize cards. I don't hate it. And then we do have the Sableye play to KO the Mimikyu.
Mm-hmm.
That's another 2.
That's another prize card. That last prize card is going to be the real sticking point.
Yeah.
Actually, I like this a lot because now that means Chi-Yu cannot come down unless it's going to win the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the Mimikyu could get pennied this next turn. You could see the Mimikyu get picked up. Get it out of there. To protect it. That might be a play we see made. Curious to know what the debate is here. But yeah, they are just going for that 2 prize cards. They got the boss. They got the 2. All right. It's still winnable from here. It was looking iffy for sure. Ooh, the next vacuum. Oh, at this point, one vacuum is probably all you need.
Right. I don't know. I still will be very surprised if they can pull this one out. Actually, I guess this matchup is woo.
Oh my god! All right, there's 1 card left. All right. Oh, 2 cards. Who was it? A Colress and
Colress and an unknown. I don't remember what the last one is.
Is it the Water Energy? Because they put back. Oh, no, they gated that. So it's a Colress and something.
That back out.
So they're very close to just losing to Chi-Yu. Not quite there though. I guess they could have lost to Chi-Yu this turn. If we still have the
Right.
switch card, I'm not sure if the switch card's still around here for the Fernandez. I think they maybe used it earlier.
Yeah, I believe so.
Is Rotom safe here? Where's the Prime Catcher? Has the Prime Catcher been used?
Prime Catcher had to be
Oh, we lost on it?
lost zoned, I believe.
All right, so it is safe.
That was a really early decision.
Yeah. They're content with Ursaluna being in the active. Can't attack, so that makes sense. Can't retreat. No Gust left. There's the
Oh,
fire.
there's the fire.
Getting closer. Oh boy. So I guess second vacuum means you could vacuum to get to the last card in the lost zone, right? And then you still have the other vacuum
Yeah.
for like a Hero's Cape potentially. But we're still
Yes.
short a switch card, I want to say. Because somebody's just going to get gusted.
I believe they've got one. I think they have one prized.
So it might just come down to that. Getting that off the prize cards.
Right, and that's if the Fernandez brothers don't get Chi-Yu out this turn.
Yeah.
And they've got Arvin, so if they have a nest ball left, we may be able to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Wait, but we need the switch card too, so never mind.
we need a lot. We could play the Super Odd. I don't know if there's enough stuff in the discard pile to play around Chi-Yu, though. I'm not sure where we're at with that. There's two Pokemon. There's a Comfey and a Cram. Okay.
Right.
So we don't lose to Chi-Yu right now, I guess. They got that. And then, yeah, here comes that knockout on the Mimikyu. Going down to 1. Ursaluna can attack next turn. No switch card in hand, though.
Oh, they picked the right one.
Well, that's big. Is that just game? I guess I guess the Iono could come into play here on this next turn.
Oh yeah, because we've got the vacuum. So even if they got Mimikyu back out,
Yeah, so we could see like an Iono counter catcher happen here, and then look for like a Sisters to try and get rid of the options from there. Because yeah, if you hit him with the Iono here, they not only need to get the Ursaluna to the active, but also vacuum away this Hero's Cape. They're thinking about it here. They're going through it. The question is just like, do they think that they can't get through the Snorlax in general, and then don't play the Iono, or they're like, they can
Right.
probably get through this. We should probably Iono here. I think we're gonna see the Iono here. Question is, anything else worth playing? Another Snorlax. They got an what is it? An Artisan they could play as well. I don't see a reason to keep the Artisan.
I'm wondering now if the Kamermans shouldn't have played the Pokestop after they vacuumed it away. I mean, granted, it would have been replaced here, but just for the sake of giving yourself the out to the Iono.
Yeah, I could see that.
Nest Ball is no good. But we know the next card, one of the next cards they're going to draw should... Oh, no, they had the Colress in their hand. So what, their next two turns are just two Pokemon?
I think so. I think they're drawing Pokemon here. There's Pokemon, there's Nest Ball.
And we've got the
They
switch
already passed
card.
back. So where are we at? Okay. There's Sisters
There's
did
the
not.
vacuum.
There's two vacuum in the deck though, right?
No, they had to use one to get the 10 in
Oh,
the
that's
lost zone.
true. So is that it? Is that just game right there? They have the switch left. They could top deck it even this turn, but you
But
switch.
they can't kill the Snorlax.
Yeah, and then all it comes down to is another counter catcher on the following turn, and there's an Arvin in the hand. Or the boss is there as well, and there's the counter catcher right on time. Yeah, I think they got him in the end. And a lot of this I feel like just came down to like, I mean, you just want to have, in this matchup in general, you want those explosive starts on the Lost Box side, on the Lost Zone side, and especially when they prize double Eerie, like that's what you're going for. There's a switch card. It's found. With that second Misfortune
Then
Sisters.
that's going to seal it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a win condition. There's a concede. Okay, the Fernandez. They go up 2-0. They got the... You mentioned it before we got into this match here. The Lost Box into the... We're getting the stall into the Lost Box or the Charizard, right? What are we trying to run the stall into? And they got one of the hits there.
Yeah. And so from that perspective, I don't know do the Kamermans really have a good matchup to bring their stall deck into at some point. I mean, like you said, maybe the Raging Bolt it could work out.
Yeah.
Maybe the Regidrago. If you can pull down, too many base Regidrago Vs and just kind of starve the energy at some point. but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for sure.
Yeah, definitely going to be a question for sure. All right, well, the players are figuring out what deck they're going to be setting up next tier. So while they're figuring that out, just give a big shout out to the sponsors of the show match today, Game Grid. Go check them out over at GameGridSLC.com. If y'all need any Pokemon products, I got other stuff as well. One Piece, Magic, you name it, they got it. But Trident Fable's coming up for Pokemon. So if y'all are looking to pick up any Trident Fable products, they got you covered. Go and pre-order them over there. And I think pre-orders will be available not too long over there as well for the, I forget the name of the next set, to be honest. Oh, Stellar Crown. Oh, I think they're already up over here, actually. So if you guys are looking to pick up some Stellar Crown as well, they're already available for pre-order over there as well. Check them out, GameGridSLC.com. Now my mouse is kind of stuck. I don't know where my mouse went. Okay, I found it. Also, TC Evolutions. If you don't want to just beat your opponent, but you want to beat them in style, then you got to pick up the TC Evolutions accessories. They got dice, damage counters, ability markers, V-Star markers. You name it, they got it for the Pokemon TCG dice cases. Check them out, tcevolutions.com. And, of course, we got Dragon Shield as well. Premium, top tier, gaming accessories. Me, personally, I love their sleeves. The mats, specifically, love the matte sleeves. And current go-to color, one of my favorite colors, is the magenta. So that's what I recommend. Matte magenta Dragon Shields. Check them out, dragonshield.com. Code AzulGG will work over at any of the sponsored pages. Check them all out. Shout out to them again. And yeah, looks like the players are still deciding what to go with. Maybe I got to give them the cue here.
Well, in the meantime, I'm sure that you've seen some of the cards coming out from that Stellar Crown set. It looks like it's gonna kind of speed things up quite a bit, or at least broaden things, at least bench sizes, from what I've been seeing people try to build up from it. With that Skyfield-esque stadium.
I'm hoping it doesn't just turn into a bunch of two-prize decks.
Sure.
Stage 1 basic two-prize decks, and it like just is like, okay, now Terrapagos is good, Galvantula is good, but still Charizard's good, Raging Bolt's still good, Regidragos are still good. So I'm hoping it doesn't all of a sudden like bring a bunch of new decks, but narrows everything down to those new decks. So we're getting a lot of really new powerful cards. For the Terra support cards, but I'm hoping it doesn't just become, oh, if you're not playing a deck that has Terra support, your deck just sucks. So that's what I'm like. Right. I don't want to say I'm scared of it, because they've been doing such a really good job recently, to be honest, with game design. I feel like we're in like a, I don't know, like a revitalization of the game right now, with how many people are getting into the game and how good the game feels compared to like before COVID and kind of post-COVID a little bit at the beginning. Everything just feels so good right now.
You can call the Sword and Shield block out. It's okay. It's safe now.
It's pretty tough. It was tough. Yeah, Sword and Shield. Honestly, yeah, it was. It really was the Sword and Shield block, wasn't it? You're not wrong. Yeah. So yeah, things feel really good right now. So hopefully it's just more of it feeling good, even if stuff changes up.
Sure.
I'm always excited for the next set, no matter what, though.
Yep. It looks like we've got the Lost Box queuing up again. We're just going to try to brute force it through.
Yeah, and they did not hit a great matchup for Lost Box, to be honest. But Net is being brought on the other side here for the Fernandez.
Yeah, again, this goes back to, I wonder almost, this is another one where I feel like Roaring Moon would be really useful. Just, I mean, the Dark Weakness, obviously, but just the ability to one-hit KO Banette is something that we're not going to have access to, just especially because of the existence of Monkey Dory, being able to move off little increments of damage and kind of accelerating the math for the Banette deck.
Yeah, definitely. And that's like one thing, yeah, like I feel like the Roaring Moon offers you like a broader potential from the deck, I guess, in the Lost Box deck. You look at like this build specifically that, Hedrick played, now everyone's kind of adopted. It was very much designed for a more narrow field in mind.
Sure.
So for something like this, something like the Roaring Moon, I think definitely could get more potential. And it's a really good start here. We see the Fernandez going first. Triple Shuppet into play to play around the Greninja attack, the turn 1 Greninja potential, and then has that Iono for the follow-up here, which it looks like they were debating taking or not taking, but it felt pretty good. I don't know. It feels like it was a pretty good grab there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's because if you don't take, well, I guess there's an argument. You don't have to take it because you could always use your non-EX Banette to go fetch it from the discard pile if you really needed to.
Yeah, but then if you get turn 1 Greninja, you're in trouble, right? So
right.
All right, we'll see. Now, I think the turn 1 Greninja attack here is still really good on the Kamerman side, but I think you'd get rid of the Ralts instead of going after the Shuppets now.
For sure.
You can get turn 1 Greninja, KO double Ralts, and honestly, if you just can get Cram into play as like a backup attacker to respond to Banette, I feel like you put yourself on like a pretty good setup to hopefully be able to maintain your prize lead. And their hand is pretty good.
Again, we go back to the like we don't have those gates in hand yet, and you've got to be concerned that this is the only turn that you're going to have access to them.
Yeah, definitely. So we're trying to go as hard as possible. I guess honestly, turn 1 Iron Hands would probably also be pretty decent as well, because that would be it would last a little bit longer, right? If they're only doing 30 damage to your active over turn. Oh, and there's one gate to start things off, and some switches. I mean, this is looking pretty good.
It looks really great. I think you've got to keep that energy just to, make sure that we have access to water. Now we can discard a water, still gate one out, and have all of our energy requirements fulfilled for Moonlight Shuriken. And you only really need the 2 switches anyway. Like with the rescue board, we only need to use Comfey 3 times. We don't need that 4th one.
Yeah. And the more I've thought about it, I think I am leaning towards the idea. That's it. There's a Lost Vacuum. I am leaning towards Iron Hands probably being the better of the 2 attackers if we can get there. And we have the rescue board in hand, so that becomes our target for that vacuum. So the Greninja play is in hand, I believe, at this point. It's just ready to go.
Correct. Right. And then maybe, like you said, they're going through the motion, seeing if they can't find that lightning energy to do hands if it is available. And if not, we'll settle for Greninja.
Well, they got second gate, so I don't want to call it yet.
Yeah.
It depends on the prize cards, I think, still for the energy. But this could
be... But
they've
searched their deck already. They should, they'll know whether or not they have it available. The awkward thing is this just being another energy. And so now we've got 2 in hand, 1 going to the Lost Zone.
Yeah. What does this next Comfey see? If it sees 2 energy, that could be trouble. And that's always the one thing you should always check. If anyone's like looking to pick up Lost Box, the one thing you should always check is your energy count. Like at the very least, if you're going to check any prize cards, it pretty much should always be any Pokemon that you're looking to use this turn or next turn, and then your energy. Especially when there's only like 8 in these lists being played now.
Oh, jeez.
Do we need the switch card or do we have enough?
No, we don't need the switch card. We've got 1 in hand still, but just seeing another energy. So now if they prized 1, things just get awkward at some point.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to take the energy, though.
It seems like it. Yeah, I can't think of a reason.
You have to, I'm assuming that we're going to get attacked by the Banette anyway, so we won't be able to use the switch. We don't need it this turn.
Okay, what's prize for energy now? Let's see. You ever go Thorns? Thorns never makes any sense, right?
No.
There's only 2. Wait, is Greninja even there?
No.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I guess we're still getting hands out, and we're just gonna hit for 160.
Yeah. I guess we're still setting pace with that a little bit.
Do you ever just go Kamerman here instead?
You gotta use the gates, right?
Yeah. You can. Yeah.
Honestly, do we vacuum the? No, we never vacuum the Colress. Does it have to be a vacuum on a water? No, we're only using 1 gate here. We could vacuum a gate, right?
You can vacuum a gate, yeah.
Yeah, because I was trying to think of a way if we can get the Psychic onto the... Oh, there's no Psychic. The Psychic got Lost Zone, though. Is there 2 Psychic or 1 Psychic in this?
There's 2 in the list, but they prized 1 again, I think.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to go, too far into removing, item resources, because, if you're putting on the pressure, they can't item lock turn after turn after turn. They eventually have to break the item lock. And if they break the item lock, you want to have items to respond to that. But I think a gate has to be the get rid of here. I
think you're fine with gate.
Yeah.
You're taxed for energy already. Ooh. Oh, no. I don't think you ever lost on Sableye.
Yeah, we could definitely get access to that Psych out of the prize cards at some point, and it becomes a pretty good cleanup attacker. They chose to opt for the gate over the energy, though, which is interesting. I kind of like the idea of the energy keep as well. Get rid of the gate.
You have to you have no energy in deck, and you also have none in your discard pile right now. So when are you going to be able to use that gate?
Yeah, it's going to be a little while for sure. Maybe they expect the lock to get broken pretty soon, though. Maybe they think the pressure of the hands is going to be enough, which it definitely could be. The lock could get broken, maybe you item lock this turn into go for a Poltergeist next turn or something. We'll see if
also like the vacuum on the gate secondarily just to reduce Poltergeist damage on the off chance that they just kind of go for it at some point.
True, yeah. Yeah, we know the Iono's coming, but
Right.
they don't know the Iono's coming. And this could be I mean, they could whiff the energy here. It's pretty unlikely, though. They'll have a Culverson to at least one refinement. That should be enough to find an energy here to get the item lock established at the very least.
Right. You know, I'm a little surprised this list doesn't play Vessel.
Yeah, it's just because they don't have any item search specifically. But like finding
Right.
multiple energy at one time, also more ways to discard energy wouldn't be bad. And there's plenty of energy right there. They're good to go. Honestly, what do you refinement now? I guess more to the question. Because everything's good.
I think you're okay with getting rid of a Psychic. Like, you've got the Luminous for this turn. You still have one to put on the Monkey Dory at some point.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You probably only need to set up one Monkey Dory. And there we go. We drew the basic Psychic. Is there 2 Monkey Dory in this list, or is it just one?
Just one.
Oh, okay. So we can't even do 2 anyways. That's where my thought process was kind of going. But yeah, we don't. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Or we don't need them. Yeah, so pretty much fully set up here where you want to be on the Fernandez side.
The second Shuppet kind of scares me just because your opponent could have access to Sableye still, potentially. I mean, I guess not. If you're item locking,
Yeah.
probably not. It's not going to happen. But otherwise.
All right, well, we'll see what they can do on the Kamerman side. The answer
The
is
boss
not very
pretty
much.
good.
Yeah, you could boss that Curly. I just remove the draw power, right?
Remove the draw power, deny Gardevoir as an option.
Yeah, so the question is, like, how much value do you put on pressuring this Banette versus getting another knockout, saving the boss for later? Because honestly, boss with Cram is pretty effective in this matchup to like pull together prize cards. I would like to at least see the Cram get benched, I think, just so it's there. That is a good
Right.
attacker in this matchup. All right, they're thinking. They do end up going with it. And then, yeah, now the question just becomes, yeah, what do you KO? Or what do you punch or do you go for a KO? Honestly, I'm kind of conflicted. I'm not too sure.
So my assumption was that at some point we're going to see the Fernandez brothers transition into just attacking with Gardevoir and kind of looping the Gardevoir as it is, and the Banette is just kind of the means of getting there. So delaying them from getting to that point, I think, seems like the best option.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then they agree as well. They go after the Curlia. And they get a lightning off the prize card, so Amp is
Not
online.
having the energy
but
too kind of hurts. Like, if we could have amped the Curly, it would have been even better.
yeah, that would have been a pretty big difference for sure. All right, the hand is still pretty good here on the Fernandez side. They got the Monkey Dory. Getting that set up. They got the Luminous for it. They have another Iono as well. They just don't have a Curlia yet. That's the big piece that they're looking for here. Probably wouldn't mind another Ralts as well. So that's what they're going to be looking for on this turn.
Do you ever play the Wasteland here, or do you just assume it's not worth it because you're going to Iona them into new cards and they've got Pokestop?
Probably.
Like, I'm just thinking we could counter catch or a Comfey and hopefully stick it when we item lock.
That is fair, actually, to be honest. I guess they could have potentially got there. Oof. Honestly, this hand is...
And we saw him think about it for a second, but...
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely worth the consideration, I think, for sure. I mean, saving it for later, there's still a lot of this game to be played, but definitely worth the consideration there. I agree.
So we get the Super Up, we get some resources back. We'll probably see another Ralts at the bench.
Thinking about it, I wonder what they're... Oh, maybe they're thinking... They got to be thinking about maybe getting Mew instead, I guess.
Okay.
All right. So, no prizes drawn still. And here on the Kamerman side, nothing super special, but a 1-2 punch hands into Cram is online.
That's special enough.
Yeah. The Monkey Dory, I guess the Monkey Dory does kind of... Ooh, Monkey Dory just barely gets him out of range, though, actually. So that could make things a little bit awkward if they go for... Oh, but honestly, the... they had 3 trainer cards in hand? So the Poltergeist would KO here.
Right.
Just barely.
But do you make that call when your opponent has 5 cards in hand?
I mean, the Lost Box
Like,
deck is
how
mostly...
much pressure are you under? I mean, it is a pretty severe amount not having Curly and not having a backup Banette.
Yeah.
Just hitting Ralts off of shoes again.
They gotta let it go, I feel like.
And they agree.
Go, more shoes. We'll keep going.
That's an easy discard. Gosh, we really need a Curly here.
Yeah, we need that draw power. Alakazam is nothing super special. We can start to build up damage in other play. Oh, I guess we have the Turo. We could go with a Turo play here, right? We could Turo the Banette, to reset for a turn. I wonder if that's worth the Turo, or do you just hope you get the knockout? I guess that's the question, right? Do you use the Turo, give yourself +1 turn on the top deck, or do you just be like, they probably have 3 in the hand? And honestly, I think they probably do have 3 in the hand. Like, that is like probably a good guess. But they go with the Turo here.
I like the Turo for other reasons too. Now you could nest ball a second Ralts into play.
Yeah.
Potentially. Or if we're gonna bench the Alakazam instead. We still may want to save the spot for the Mew, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, honestly getting the Shuppet out of play is like just kind of fine. You don't really need this Shuppet.
Right.
You didn't really want another Shuppet in play anyways. Now we see the Alakazam making its way into play to start to build up or remove some damage from the Iron Hands. Threaten that Comfey there. Even as soon as the next turn. I guess they have Boss in hand for next turn as well, so I guess they could just boss up a Comfey now and try and trap one. And honestly,
it's another dead card.
There's like no energy left, right? It's like these Comfeys getting boss is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
You get stuck for a while.
I mean, I don't think they don't know that. They don't know how many are prized, but they did see one or two hit the loss zone already.
Yeah. There's just a punch back just for the 160 or the Fernandez side. They did top deck the Bonnet, so they can get a supporter with that if they want. The question is just what supporter would you ever get? I guess it would always have to be the Iono. Or are you content with maybe going with a boss play this turn?
Or do you just pull the trigger and do the Poltergeist at this point?
That's true. One more card in the hand. And they would only need... Could they make it so they only need... No.
You can make it so you only need 2.
Yeah, that's true. Alakazam 1-up off the Comfey from the bench to the active. And it would just have to be 2... There's almost guaranteed 2 trainer cards in the hand. Oh.
Or they're going to just hope that they have 3 now. Maybe take a 3 prize turn.
Could. Even thinking about spreading the damage around a little bit more. I mean, there's a lot of options here. You do want to get rid of this Iron Hands at some point. Ideally, you'd like to get rid of the Iron Hands through item lock, but that's like a long ways away from that ever happening.
Right.
Might be a little bit too risky to try and wait that long.
And then the scary thing, actually, I like not taking a 3 prize turn here. We saw how effective the Roxanne was in the first game of this series, so walking into it again wouldn't be less than ideal. It's not quite as dangerous in this situation, since your Bonnet is more or less safe, but...
Yeah, that's true. Some more damage manipulation with the Alakazam. And it looks like it is going to be another item lock go about here. They just brought up the Comfey and hoping he gets stuck.
Doing this without Wasteland, I mean, I know that we've seen that the Kamermans are down a lot of energy already, and we know that they don't have any left, but without Wasteland, this just being an energy away from losing your Bonnet and then not having a backup at the moment is just, I don't know, it's scary to me.
It is a little scary, and you're giving them the Comfey, right? They're going to have that flower selecting going to the next turn. They'll be able to see at least 3 cards. A Colress becomes +5 on that. They're really playing out their whole hand here as well.
Yeah, they're just banking on that Bonnet being something, the bench Bonnet being something at some point.
Yep. All right. What'd they get? Nothing good.
And more nothing good.
Yeah, not great. So they are stuck. They're stuck here. And then, I mean, the prize cards, with the 50 damage on the active Comfey here, the prize cards have to start rolling in next turn.
Right.
There's the pass back. So the question is, what do they go after here? Are they going to do this? Oh my gosh. The Turo. Ooh, well, you can't really Turo the active, I guess. No, you have the energy on the bench Shuppet. The Turo reset on the active is actually like, that's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then we can keep this Comfey here for 1 more turn if we really want to.
Yeah, we can move the damage off the active now. We actually take this KO. That's fine. Not KO in the active. Not in Roxanne. Putting ourselves in Roxanne range. We're chilling. There's a...
Oh, and that's a big prize.
That's probably the best one there is. I don't even know if there was... I think there's probably only one Curlia prized. I don't think it gets better than that.
And you think you're fine? Are you fine letting go of this nest ball, or do we use the Bonnet to get a supporter from our discard, nest ball from you, refill the hand, and then go from there? Or we could always discard the Shuppet, I guess.
Yeah,
that is an option.
It looks like they're just gonna go with the refinement on the nest ball. I guess you kind of want to keep the Shuppet around so you could loop it again potentially.
Right.
Yeah. Now that we have the refinement, we're not too scared of probably getting locked out of draw power. So I feel like we're good to just like loop Shuppets, keep our Bonnet around for just maximize options here.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like the choice of here how to play this or approach this situation. They do bench this up, but again, it's just gonna be more item locking.
Yeah, and until they go below 3 prizes, I just don't know how much this hand is going to improve from the Kamerman side.
Yep. There's a Pokestop, has a flower, but Pokestop's not very good anymore.
No, Pokestop is a terrible card.
They go for it though.
I guess you're doing this just to thin your deck of those cards so you can hopefully flower selecting into something useful.
And still nothing. There's a lot of items.
We're gonna see a giant poltergeist at some point.
Yeah. The potential for the Gardevoir as well to build up damage in play is here now that the Curly's been in play for a turn. So Monkey Dory can come back online. That's what they want here is probably just Gardevoir. There's the Ultra Ball. You could take 2 prize cards this turn if you wanted to. You have Counter Catcher, so you go after the Iron Hands. You do have the Iono, so you could just go like Iono into Counter Catcher, knock out Iron Hands, or attempt to. But I guess if you're Ionoing them, that probably is not the.
Oh, you could KO everything but the Cram this turn.
Can we go after? Oh.
Because we have Alakazam and Monkey Dory.
Yeah, you're right. Ultra Ball away these 2 cards. Or I guess they could even find 1 card first here off the Alakazam. And then from there, get 1 prize card to work with before we play the Ultra Ball. That's pretty good. And you have to assume with an 11-card hand, they probably have you probably have the knockout with the Poltergeist. Almost definitely.
I hope so. Especially against Lost Box. Against, actually, I don't know if there's any deck where they could have 11 cards and you not have 3 trainer cards in it.
Yeah, at this point, with any development of a board at all like we have here, it'd almost be impossible. Oh, they went with the Iono, though.
That's interesting.
Now they could whiff.
I guess you could still do it. You can still just attack with Gardevoir instead.
I guess, yeah, that's true. We could just attack with Gardevoir here. I guess that's kind of the same thing. I guess it kind of leaves you in the same spot, maybe. I guess that's what they're going to go for here. So you get the hand disruption. Okay, maybe this does make the most sense. This makes sense then, I guess, right? You get the hand disruption involved, and then you still get the double KO here. Or triple KO overall throughout the turn. Makes sense. And you could have even item locked for another turn if they really wanted to, I guess. You had like the Banette to go get another Turo or something like that. But yeah, now Gardevoir's getting involved. Gonna go down to 1 prize card.
Jeez, this deck just seemed nasty once it got rolling.
Yeah, I feel like this matchup's pretty brutal, to be honest, overall. I guess, you need like a really explosive start to shut them down. But we didn't see that. We saw them go for it, right? They almost had turn 1 hands, which would have been made this game probably way different if we had that turn 1 hands, because it would have drawn 2, and then we had the follow-up boss for another 2. Then the pressure's really on.
So looking forward, I mean, are all of the Lost Box matchups that are bad out of the way, or do the Kamerman brothers need to kind of hang it up at this point and try to push another deck through?
Maybe. I mean, that's like the thing as well. You don't have to win with every deck. They have 6 decks available to them, and they just have to win with 5 of them. They've been throwing the Lost Box now 3 times in a row. Had a tough time of it so far, and this one looks like it's going to be the same result here. I don't think the Iron Thorns can do enough. I'm trying to come up with could you ever... man, could you bring up the Alakazam? Well, they always have the Banette to get a Turo, so it should always lead to a win eventually, I feel like.
Right.
You have access to items again.
And honestly, like if you're digging through a bunch of cards in your deck and getting a bunch of items in your hand and not playing those trainer cards immediately, they could just poltergeist something. As well.
Yeah.
Like, we can't leave the Cram active because it's going to get knocked out by Gardevoir. You have to retreat into some sort of 2 prize option. None of them are particularly good.
Yeah, they go
and it looks like the only one we even have available is this Thorns, and we don't have a gate to power it up unless this Pokestop comes through for us.
Yep, the back-to-back stops, still no gates. They can switch into it, and there's the concede.
Yeah.
All right, Fernandez go up
3-0.
Yeah, first to 5, so they're 2 wins away. So far, the Lost Box has not been able to do it for the Kamerman side. They might run it again. We'll see.
If they hit the Raging Bolt with it, I think they'll be happy. If they hit the Lugia with it, they might be okay.
They got the Thorns, right? So that's like the... I guess is the Fluttermane on the other side. But I'd say I have to give the advantage probably to the Lost Box deck, I think, overall, despite the Fluttermane.
Yeah, I think I agree, especially since this is a more two-prize focused Lugia build. You don't necessarily get to swing with the Chinchinos or something to kind of offset that prize trade.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'd have to give them the edge overall with that. If they decide to go with it once again, we'll see.
Right. They could also potentially just queue it into the... Actually, my question now is, do they know they can switch decks?
I guess we should make sure. Hang on. All right, let me just confirm. I thought they knew. I'm pretty sure they knew. Or hopefully they knew. Yeah, I tried to make sure everyone had an understanding of the Conquest format before, because it's new to the Pokemon scene in general. So not all the players are always super familiar. But honestly, at the beginning of my explaining of it, I don't think I put out that specific statement. So I guess it'd be good to make sure. I'm pretty sure they know, but best to confirm.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. I mean, I know a lot of European players, like Hearthstone was really popular over in Europe as well, and it was kind of one of their main formats. So if they're card game players outside of Pokemon as well, I would have to imagine that they're familiar with it to some extent, but it's always worth checking. I do think that last matchup, though, was kind of something that we potentially have to look forward to moving into that Stellar Crown format with that Galvantula EX that you mentioned earlier. I've seen some interesting takes on it, both with the energy acceleration options from Crispin or even some kind of Reggie's based builds with that Stellar Stadium. You get your full board and you can just use that Fulgurite. I think that's what it's called. Whatever the trainer locking attack every single turn.
Yeah, I'm kind of... Honestly, Galvantula might be broken because item lock...
The card scares me, honestly. I'm worried that it's going to push stage 2s out.
It might. It might be like... It looks kind of disgusting. Also, yeah, like... I didn't think about this build initially, but you can do it with... You can play Blissey. You can play Galvantula Blissey with the Trumpet. You get the Trumpet involved. Accelerate the energy of the Blissey. The Blissey moves it to the Galvantula. I mean, it's not infinite Galvantula attacks, but you don't... When you're doing 180 damage, you don't need that many item lock attacks. And also, you should need maybe get far enough ahead where you can switch it up and attack with the Blissey or the first attack on the Galvantula as well. Once you're so far ahead from item locking your opponent, it doesn't really matter what you attack with at some point as long as you're still taking knockouts.
Yep.
All right. I think the Kamermans are still discussing what they want to throw next. Will it be the Lost Box again is the question. Yeah, we did confirm. They did know they could switch decks. I was pretty confident that everyone knew what we were doing, how it was going, but it was a good thing to confirm just in case. And it looks like they are maybe switching it up here. They also get control over... That's like another thing to keep in mind as well is they'll only have so much control over going first or second moving forward. So that's like the one big... That's one of the things that you do want to have drive your deck choice a little bit here on the Kamerman side is... Ideally, they start winning some games here, right? Hopefully, it's not a 5-0. You know, I'm hoping for a game 9, but they start bringing it back. They're going to start losing control over who goes first. Right now, they've got to go second three times in a row, or 2 times in a row here, I should say, because I'm pretty sure Fernandez chose second in that game 1 when we had the mirror match.
Correct.
But once they start winning games, they're going to start losing control of that. So throwing up a deck right now that maybe really wants to go first or really wants to go second, or they feel like it does, would maybe be a good call here.
Yeah, knowing that they've got a maximum of 2 more opportunities to choose.
Yeah. Because Lost Box, I feel like is like reasonably comfortable going first in a lot of situations.
For sure.
So,
Whereas, you've got something like the Lugia that ideally wants to go first, Raging Bolt wants to go second.
yeah. Those may be a little bit more so. Yeah, because like Lost Box is so explosive, you can handle going first or going second pretty comfortably. You have such a powerful plays to make. But here we go. I'm actually not sure. Okay. They put in chat if they wanted first or second. It looks like they did.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Did they choose first?
Yes.
Oh, they chose first with the Raging Bolt, actually. Interesting. Maybe they made a prediction with that, though, because they actually got one of the matchups where they want to go first.
Right.
Which they are up against. They hit the Regidrago. This is actually a good lineup here from them.
Yeah, this is a matchup where I feel like this would have potentially been another scary matchup to play as Lost Box, especially if you were choosing to go second again and you give that Regidrago deck the chance to get multiple Regidrago set up.
Yeah. So, and there's also, I mean, they got an okay start here. It's not super explosive, but they could follow up with the Iono. Just go for like a little reset here. Maybe get a catcher heads and look for that early knockout on a Regidrago, which still has to be found on the other side as well here, I guess. They don't even have the Regidrago yet, so they still got to find that. They got the Cleffa in the start here, though, on the Fernandez side for some draw power. One thing that's nice that we haven't seen yet, there's been no dead draws, right? We haven't had any real dead draws.
Right. Not at the start of the game has been something that can come up from time to time. But I think a lot of times, especially with these lower to the ground decks, you don't see it quite as often.
We might be seeing it almost effectively right here, though. Oh, there's the Ultra Ball. All right. It was like, it could have looked rough, but Ultra Ball off that Ogre Pawn there. Going to set up the Regidrago. We're going to go get the Regidrago. Has the Vessel as well. So we can go grab
so to see the
Grass and a Fire, and then we'll get that Fire attachment down.
We see that Dragapult in the discard pile already. Although this is a matchup where we just want to find that Noivern ASAP. Or wait, did they have the Noivern? Or
they maybe didn't. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I forgot about the Noivern.
They do.
Fernandez have the Noivern?
Yes, so this is actually, but knowing that, do we see the Kamermans hold the catchers? Well, I guess you would catch a Regidrago on site.
Yeah, if you can get rid of the lone Regidrago, then you're never going to have that threat come up. And they are set up decently for it on the Kamerman side. They got the manual attachment down. They can manual attach again, and they have to find 2 Ogre Pawns and 2 Grass. And then they'll also have to get the Regidrago on the active, of course. But if they can do all that, which isn't unreasonable at all, it really just comes down to the catch or flip more than anything, I feel like. Once the Ionos play, there's a good chance that they get there. Pretty close to getting that turn 2 KO here, I guess, on the Regidrago. And then there's
We're asking a lot of this Cleffa, too, from the Fernandez side.
Yeah.
Oh, but it came up really big.
But that's not bad. A short and energy switch, actually. But we're probably going to see the Iono here, so it's probably headed back. Yep.
Sure.
Here we go. Here comes the catcher. Yeah, if there's no... Oh, this is interesting. Do they have the... Oh, my goodness. Do they have the Ogre Pawn? Does the Kamerman side have the Ogre Pawn?
Yes, I think they do.
Okay, this is going to get weird. Because...
Oh, they don't have a Shred attacker. Okay.
Oh, there's the catcher heads. All right. None of that other stuff might matter. The Noivern just might never come online here. We'll see.
Well, especially when it's going to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, that is one of the things.
Find it again.
That's one of the things that is actually tough about the Regidrago deck. Like, it's like, oh yeah, if I just turn to attack with this Pokemon, I always win. But actually finding the Pokemon and getting into the discard pile, sure you have Legacy Star, but you only have 4 Ultra Balls. Like, that's the tough part. Not quite there.
One Ogre Pawn away from it.
And I'm trying to think about how many cards went to the bottom of the deck here. Double Vessel maybe is correct. That thins 4 energy out of the deck, but I'm actually not sure how many cards went to the bottom of the deck. Using Ogre Pawn first there might have been the move. Unless they really want to use Pokestop first, which I guess changes things. You could go Vessel. Actually, what do you do? Stop before? You probably Ogre Pawn first, I think, actually.
Yeah, I think you do.
If you hit a Vessel, use another Vessel, then you stop. Increase your odds of finding that Nest Ball. We'll see what this Teal Dance comes up with, though. Just need to find an Ogre Pawn.
Shoes?
Gotta give it up, right?
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Okay.
We're not done yet.
We're going to Vessel again.
I think you got it right. Vessel again, and then
Yeah,
we're
I mean, you have 2 energy in the deck.
yep. Maybe they're just
I mean, at this
debating.
point, I think we're pretty all in on we're going to blow up this Ready Drago if we can. So I don't know why you wouldn't just maximize your odds of that from this point.
Yeah, it's the question is just the lightning or the grass. What do we get rid of here?
Right.
And probably the lightning because we want to keep more grass around for more draw power next turn. I would assume. They're debating.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good take.
I guess it depends how many grass are left in the deck as well, but that's like where my thought process is at. If there's like 2 grass left, I guess you could get rid of a grass. You'll have enough for Ogre Pawn plus 2 more Ogre Pawns next turn.
Yeah, there should still be another lightning in the deck. Oh, did they discard one already?
Might be prized. I think I would still like to see double grass get taken there though, just for like we're hoping to hit Ogre Pawn here, and then we want to be able to draw 2 more cards next turn. Oh no, we have 3 grass in hand. What am I doing? I'm miscounting. Oh,
Oh no,
that's brutal. Goodness. You pass? Or is hitting for 110 still relevant here to pressure them for your follow-up Ogre Pawn? It might be.
I'm wondering, do you just hit them for 70?
I could see that. How much does Ogre Pawn do? Ogre Pawn does do 140, right? The cornerstone?
Yes. Yep.
So maybe hitting for 140. Like, get rid of your fighting and your grass.
Yeah.
And then the Ogre Pawn could swing through with the demolish, right? Makes the most sense in my head to set up for the potential Ogre Pawn. Because they could just, their hand, we haven't looked at it yet. We'll go over there just in a second to see what they got. But they could have, you know, the Noivern attack next turn. Honestly, even if they don't have the Noivern attack, if they just have the... They're playing the Tina, right?
Yes, but that also did just went to the bottom of the deck.
Okay.
That we put a V-Star, the Noivern, and the Tina V-Star on the bottom of the deck with that Iona.
So they just go for the big hit here. They just hit hard. I don't hate it. It seems okay.
Doing that without Sada seems interesting, though.
Yeah, over to the other side. We're living off some Ogre Pawns here. Yeah, doing it without Sada definitely is interesting. You're right. Like maybe just leaving at least the lightning, leaving the lightning on the active because we have the fighting in the hand, right?
Right.
I feel like that makes a little bit more sense.
And that's why I was leaning towards the just 140 hit to begin with. Just kind of try to play it a little bit conservatively. That like you don't really have a huge benefit for swinging for 210 here.
Yeah, definitely. All right, here we go. The teal dances are in. What do we got? Okay.
Research is good.
Got the super rod in the hand as well. Cover probably a couple energy. Another teal dance first, though. Probably doesn't get better than research, but... Yeah, so far so good. Also, the Pokestop, honestly, you find Ultra Ball, mill the attacker potentially, or finding energy switches.
Right. Yeah, knowing that you have extra resources to turn and burn anyway.
Ooh, are they just going to go for the... They're eyeing up the Penny. The Penny reset into Cleffa, honestly, doesn't sound terrible. You just saw on the other side a bunch of resources burn to just punch. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's maybe should have been a consideration for how much damage are we going to hit this thing for.
Right.
Yeah, now we're in a situation where, like, well, we have to find Asada now. Whereas it could have just been attach, accelerate to the bench, attack. And even if we go back to what you initially said of just doing 70 damage... That could have led to us going Prime Catcher Retreat and then still get a knockout here.
Right.
So, yeah, maybe an over... Oh, I guess that would still be 1 off in that. Oh, am I miscounting here? I think I am miscounting.
If we did the 70 first?
We did just... How many energies do we have in play? We had 3... No, we would have still had to have... We still needed to, like... Because I was thinking we have to that hard retreat our Ogre Pawn at this point. But we would have needed to go... Accelerate Retreat. We still need 1 more Ogre Pawn with 1 more energy.
Right.
Yeah. We can still get there this turn, but we need to find Asada. I mean, honestly, I think you just Pokestop first here before the Pokegear. You just hope it doesn't mill all your Asadas.
Yeah.
Pokestop, then Pokegear. Hope for the best. Or hope for not the worst, I guess, off the Pokestop more so than anything. Now that the Palpad's gone, it feels riskier to click this Pokestop, but I think it's always just correct here, just to go ahead and hit it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is just like a really... awkward scenario again, like, and then we're stuck where we just lost our boss now, so
yep.
we're down more gust options again, and we're going to have to use them at some point. And it looks like we may be in a position where they have to use one of the Prime Catchers this turn. Hitting the Sod is really nice, though. We do have another ancient Pokemon in the Sandy Shocks.
Yeah, it's big to actually have the Sandy Shocks. It's not a Raging Bolt, so not as good as it could have been, but yeah, just something to put energy on is the important part here.
Right.
We've burned through a lot of resources at this point. Okay, there we go. That helps a little bit. Get another Ogre Pawn in play, draw a couple more cards. We're still hoping for a Catcher Heads here as well.
Right.
That's big.
Although if they have the backup Ogre Pawn or extra Ogre Pawn, they can afford to hit this Tails because they do have the Prime Capture option, but then they're just totally out of Gust.
Yeah, that's it. Then you go after the one with the Fire Energy. Man. This is just a lot of resources played at this point. We still no knockouts taken. There's a Cleffa in the active we got to get around. We have burned so many resources up to this point. It's going to be tough to make the comeback. I think we're hoping that Noivern just doesn't get found.
For sure.
That almost like has to be our they don't play the Iron Bundle, right? That's not included in their build.
Nope.
Yeah. Alpad's gone. The boss is gone. Yeah. It's gonna be tough, to be honest, to win from here if the Noivern gets found next turn. I do have this first KO, and I think you never just KO the Cleffa here to save the Prime Catcher, because Cleffa just odd prize cards. There's never any other one prize being put into play, so.
Right. Yeah, it makes no sense. You just have to burn the guy. I mean, but then again, now the Fernandez brothers can just throw the Cleffa up again.
Yeah.
And just kind of buy themselves a turn to rebuild that Reggie.
Sheesh. I mean, maybe does it actually make sense to have just KO'd the Cleffa then? Because they can just do it again? Maybe you do just commit to the Cleffa KO. Man, yeah, whiffing that turn 1 attack, that turn 1 knockout there has just set them so far behind. And it was looking good.
And again, I think that it wouldn't have been as bad if they hadn't committed as hard to it.
Yeah, exactly, right? If they just done a little bit less, just a little bit less. And honestly, I think you're right with just doing 70. All right, just hit for 70 here. Take one energy
and you
off
just kind of, you have to wonder, is that pressure in knowing that they still have to win 5 games, the opponents only have to win 2?
Yeah, maybe.
Like a little bit of nerves, a little bit of, anxiety creeping in.
Actually, kind of going back to it, I guess, even further, like you either set up some damage for Ogre Pawn in the future, which means you do 140. So I think you actually do no damage or you do 140 for the situation they were in. And I almost lean towards just doing nothing being the better play.
Okay.
Now that I'm like thinking about it further, because I think just like doing nothing on that initial turn, just keeping energy in play, especially because the penny exists, right? They play penny, so that could be something that like makes things awkward. Just catchered it up. Okay, you whiff the knockout. Okay, pass. Let's go for the 1K on the next turn. And then now we see the Noivern getting searched out, so things are gonna get tough. They don't quite have the setup for it. It looks like they're trying to avoid using Legacy Star as much as possible here, because they could have just grabbed the V-Star there.
The V-Star, yeah. I find myself doing that a lot with this deck as well, and I think that I get a little, over greedy with it and try to just hold it to kind of win the game.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just got to step on the gas.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to use a turn 2, as if it gets you there, it gets you there, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, here comes the research. Noivern into the discard pile. They still need double energy switch. That's it. Their deck was getting pretty thin. Cleffa put in some work, right? Cleffa was putting in the work, drawing the cards. They're getting closer and closer.
Yeah, I've resisted putting Cleffa into this deck. I've been one of the early adopters back when Radiant Charizard was in it, and just the not having to turbo it out and getting the Cleffa, sitting back, setting up can be really good sometimes, and we see that in full display in this game.
Yeah, it gives you that for your retreater, right? Gives you a pivot to work with, potentially like going to an option as well, like maybe sending it, retreating to using Ogre Pawn or using the Reggie Drago, or maybe even using Mew, to be honest. And it's also that one prize, right? So it's not really a liability at all, because you don't care if your opponent takes it out. I mean, I guess if Iron Hands could get involved with it, but if it's not an Iron Hands matchup, then you don't really care if your Cleffa gets knocked out. And then here comes one of many covert flights. Where things are going to get interesting. So now on the other side here, well, one is the Ogre Pawn prize. I'm actually not sure.
I believe it was in the deck.
Okay. This is where things get interesting, right? Ogre Pawn comes down. You want to have some energy built up into play, because if on the Reggie Drago side, Fernandez side, they break the lock, you want to be able to immediately knock them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting from here. I guess, like, do we just manually attach... We have the switch card, which is nice. So you probably try and SADA to the Raging Bolt, so you could hard retreat them if you need to.
Right.
on a
So I
following
think the
turn.
first thing you do here is just Poke Gear,
Yeah. Oh, we could hit
and
him
then
with
you can kind
a.
of decide.
Yeah, I could Ogre Pawn first, I guess. Go for basically digging 8 down. Oh, but they might just go for the attachment here, actually. We'll see. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this gets played out on this turn. I guess you don't have to switch card yet, right? You can let this Raging Ball take another hit.
Right.
Yeah, they're just going to establish a
Yeah,
fighting.
because if you switch card now, you're at 40. I'm just trying to think about the Dragapult math,
Yeah, where it would build up
and I don't think it
eventually.
really makes too big of a difference one way or the other.
I guess you'd like to avoid them putting damage on your Pokemon if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because eventually there's like a point where like there's too much damage in playing. You doesn't matter if the Ogre Pawns are active at some point, right? So it's a bit
Right.
wary of that, I guess. And they're thinking about going a little bit further on their turn as well. Now they're using one of the teal mask to get an energy in play onto a card, then pass. Yeah, this game's not over yet. I'm actually curious to see how this is going to develop from here.
Yeah, I think I would really like to see them hit 2 energy on that Teal Mask Ogerpon, just because then you have the option to retreat to it and one hit KO a Regidrago.
Yeah.
If you can get up to 4, but we have to get there first. And I actually wonder if now that we have a backup Regidrago on the bench, I guess we still don't feel comfortable breaking our lock here and just kind of trying to get some pressure on the rest of the Kamerman's bench. Even though we just Iono'd them. If they were at 6 prizes, I think it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, now I definitely question maybe not setting up a little bit more. Now this Iono gets played, we'll have to go back to the other side. Is there even a switch card in the hand to work with here?
Right.
I don't know. Let's see. No. And now we can't Sada. Now we can't Sada retreat either because we didn't build up an initial Sada energy on both Raging Bolts, and then we could have gone Sada again, hard retreat, if it got gusted up. And we know one of the what's it called on the bottom. The switch cards on the bottom of the deck, right?
Right.
I believe that. I mean, they probably play 2. I'm gonna pull it up here real fast.
They do. Actually, I think they had 3. I know one of them had 3. Did they? No, they've only got 2 in there.
Yeah, they've got 2. And the Prime Catcher, but the Prime Catcher is gone.
Correct.
Draw for 3. I mean, they got Pokegear. They could shuffle the deck, then use Pokestop to try and find the switch card. Ideally, the Pokegear does find a Sada to work with in the future. I guess they have another Sada on hand, so there should only be one Sada left in the deck. Actually, this Pokegear is almost maybe guaranteed the Sada. And then they still want to attach to Ogerpon here. Once again, start to create it, make it a threat.
Right.
You don't just want to put it up there and have the Regidrago player not to be able to attack. You want to be able to pressure them and put damage on them.
Especially because if you just throw it up as a wall, they can still just
Yeah.
kind of sprinkle damage on your bench around it, and it doesn't matter.
Gotta do something here. And then we had some.
Although I guess
prized.
you would be all right with that because then they'd be breaking your lock and you could kind of retreat. It would depend on what energy you have on your board, but
Yeah.
there was the switch card.
It looks like they're gonna go for it too. I mean, they're like playing it out as if the Pokestop's gonna be used here. I feel like you wouldn't play the Pokegear if you weren't gonna use the Pokestop here. Well, I guess you could shuffle it so that way your top decks are a little bit better. It's like the only other reason. Ogerpon's online. But yeah, this 110 onto the active, like that's that more and more damage being built up to play is just not good. Because now you could go 110 to the active, and then next turn just boss KO it with Covert Flight. I guess if you get the attack with Ogerpon though, then you're threatening the knockout. But maybe you could switch between Regidragos on the other side. I mean, here we're just gonna see another Covert Flight almost for sure. I think on the Fernandez side.
Oh yeah. I think you've done too much at this point to not just finish this up.
I don't even know if you play a support. You might just chill. Definitely save the I like you either play. I don't think. Yeah, I think you'd never play the Iono here. I think you'd always just hold it to play it for more disruption. I feel like just attacking here is fine. I can't think of a reason to actually play anything besides just attacking. But they are going with the Iono. Okay.
Interesting. I think that's really interesting because now you just put the Kamermans closer to that switch card, if not giving it to them.
Yeah, so I guess the trade-off is here you're looking for either Gust, because you had no Gust in hand, or the Scuba Up Cyclone, and they found both. They did find Boss and Scuba Cyclone, which are like the only 2 real cards you needed. You did have that Ultra Ball in hand, which could become your next Regidrago, so you weren't scared of having access to your next Regidrago. So it really came down to option of Gust, option of the Scuba Up Cyclone. And I assume, once again, Covert Flight's going to be the choice here, unless now they're maybe going to get aggressive and just go for a knockout, but I don't think that's going to probably be the play.
Yeah, I think you just set the damage up here. You know, even with a switch card, you still have access to this prize through a Phantom Dive attack at some point.
Down the switch cart. Energy in hand as well. The Ogre Pawn can hit. You start finally putting on some pressure here. I wonder if that's something. I guess they never. I was gonna say, I wonder if that's something that the Kamerman should have tried to prioritize sooner. Was just like building up the Ogre Pawn, not like go like all in on it, but just like build it up. You know, so it's an option sooner. But they didn't really ever have that option to be honest. They didn't even get Radiant Greninja and play this game. So
right,
that ball was not something they found early on.
No, not at all. Yeah, that's why we didn't even see the second Raging Bolt come down until after the first auto was played.
Yeah.
But now we're all set up. We're going to see some walls smacking into each other.
Yeah. Now it's on the Fernandez side. Okay, what do you do now that this is happening? In their hand, they have the boss. I guess, is it just boss Raging Bolt? No, because you have to like go to a new Regidrago. But you could. I guess you could just.
Yeah, you can. We've got the scoop up Cyclone option, but that only buys you one turn.
Yeah. Wait, do they just not have a way to attack through Ogre Pawn at all? I thought they had something. Am I tripping though?
No, they don't have a shred. I mean, you can technically you can use the Dragapult attack and just still do the Banch damage, but you cannot hit this Ogre Pawn unless they attack with the basic Regidrago. Yeah. And if they do that, then it just gets blown up.
Yeah, Regidrago V. Mellow in chat said Mew, but Mew also not a great. There's no good. They actually just don't have a good response to the Ogre Pawn. Could they maybe gust 3 times? But they need to like covert flight on this first gust, right?
Right.
They can't.
And they've gotten to the point they've saved this Legacy Star for so long in this game. They're almost locked out of using it just because they would deck out.
I guess one of the recovers would have to be Super Rod, right? If they go Legacy Star, it'd have to be get something plus Super Rod. Oh man, this is actually still okay. So they're going for this play on the. Can they set up? Oh, they can set up a 3 prize turn, right? With
yeah.
On the Dragon Ball. Okay. Is that a guaranteed win at this point? Let's see. There's 60 HP left on the bench. Does one switch card throw this whole thing off? 60, 70. I think they do. I think back-to-back wins. I think that does win. I think back-to-back Dragon Ball attacks here does win the game. I don't think even a switch card gets him out. And actually, I didn't even realize this. They don't play Bravery Charms, do they?
Yeah. No. They commit those spots to other cards like the not Stone Mask, Cornerstone. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just going to take no knockouts this turn. 200 to the active. Put 5 on the bench. Dragapult. Or you have to put 4 on the... Oh, wait, no. I guess... Ooh, okay, actually, this could get weird.
You have to put damage on that Raging Bolt, or they could get a switch card on it to save it from being knocked out.
But they can do the same thing with the other... Oh, the Teal Mask, right? This one... Because now the one with just 10 damage on it, they could just retreat to that, switch card it out.
I think they needed to...
So switch card does actually get them out of the situation now, right?
Yes. Yeah. I was trying to think if you could put 40 and 20, but then no, then the Raging Bolt still would be able to get to 10 or 70 left instead of 60.
Let's see. They'll go down to 2 prize cards. So they can retreat to the Raging... They can retreat to the Teal Mask that has... Oh, no, wait. Oh, yeah. They retreat to the Teal Mask that has 10 damage on it. Switch card that into the Cornerstone. Attack with Cornerstone knockout, right?
Right.
All right. Piece it together. I got to find the switch card, though. We know it's in the deck, though, right? We know it's in the deck. It's somewhere.
Yes. Yep. And we know that there's a Sada in there as well.
Decent amount of draw power. Deck out is something to be concerned about a little bit, but the Cornerstone is putting on a decent amount of pressure. Yeah, this one's gotten pretty close here at the end. It was looking really bad for the camera. Honestly, this kind of like shows how good this matchup is with the Cornerstone. Because imagine if they get the aggressive start and then have the Cornerstone to fall back on. This game's like already over.
Exactly.
A couple whiffs on those early knockouts. Set them behind quite a bit. Honestly, it wasn't even just the whiffs on the knockouts. It was like the Pokestop milling all of there. Milled the boss, and then they like lost the Pal Pad or whatever at some point as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Still haven't found it. You know what's in there,
it's all
though?
but guaranteed, though. Like, we get to hit the Sada for sure, but now we got the switch card anyway, so we don't even have to Sada yet.
Yeah, you just save it for later, right? So got to retreat into the one that has 10. Once again, go back to the cornerstone. I am trying to come up with like now what are we doing on the Fernandez side? We have a game plan here on the Kamerman side. What is the Fernandez game plan?
I'm actually wondering now if it was not potentially correct to put damage on both of the Raging Bolts instead. Like, instead we went for this, I'm going to win over 2 turns if you don't hit switch card. But we could have gone just for the long game, set up both Raging Bolts to have a Gust knockout and take both bolts off the field.
And then it's just like, okay, you can't one-hit KO me anyways, and now I can win.
Right.
It. Okay.
Right.
I kind of like that, actually. I actually don't even know where the other 2 Raging Bolts are. I wonder if they're left. I wonder if they're in the deck. One's in the discard pile, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That could have been a big difference maker there. Cameron's are going to check the discard pile here. Okay, no Pokemon discard. So they still have the Raging Bolts left. All right. But they are going down to 2. And yeah, the question, I don't even know what we do on the Fernandez side. So let's see what they decide to do here. Maybe they got something. Ooh, no. In my head, I was like, we could double Scoop Up Cyclone, but then we deck out. Like Scuba Cyclone, Legacy Star for Scuba Cyclone. That doesn't do anything. I was like, get down to Lone Regidrago, but we still just lose to the Ogre Pawn swinging into us.
Right. I'm trying to think, because they can't Gust without Boss. Like, they don't have Counter Catcher, they don't have Prime Catcher.
Yeah, what is the plan here? I'm lost on this one. There's so much energy in play too on the other side.
Right. That was the only other thing I could think of. If they didn't have a Sada left, maybe you could try to trap the Sandy Shocks, but
yeah,
I believe they do still have 1 Sada left.
Does this game maybe just come down to the Fernandez hoping that the last Sada's prized?
Yeah, I think so.
There's a retreat to the Regidrago. They have the boss. They have Scuba Cyclone. Bringing up the Ogre Pawn.
Or I guess they're going to Covert Flight and then go...
Oh, back-to-back Gust. That does do it. That still does it, right? Covert Flight into... Yeah. All right. All right, they figured it out. 2 Gust. So if they hadn't found the Gust there, they would have been in trouble, I guess. So it kind of came down to finding that boss off the Teal Masks.
Right. I mean, I guess that they technically had another turn to do it. Like, if it hadn't happened there, they could have benched the regular Regidrago, put an energy on it, try to set things up so that they could scoop up Cyclone the Regidrago and rinse and repeat everything next turn.
Yeah. And here comes the Demolish. Nobody get through the Ogre Pawn. But yeah, that's it. That just comes back up. 6 prize turn. Coming in for the Fernandez here. Even when the Kamermans... The last couple matchups... Actually, honestly, the last couple matchups were rough for the Kamermans in terms of the matchup. This time around, it's a good matchup, right? But it's that... There's barely... Like, there's not a super explosive start. The whiffing of anything off the Iono set them back. They ran out of Gust effects super quickly as well. Man.
Right, yeah. They milled the boss. They flipped tails on their second catcher. The first catcher they couldn't capitalize on because they didn't hit this second Ogre Pawn to get all of the energy necessary in play. And I still wonder how much they could have done if they hadn't overextended on that first attack. Yeah,
that's true. But yeah, we can kind of... That's always like really cool to like... I mean, it's not cool that they misplayed, but it's like, it shows the depth of the Pokemon, right? Where it was like... It wasn't just stuff going wrong for them, although a lot did go wrong for the Kamermans in that game. Right. There was that mistake, right? They definitely, I think, overcommitted their energy in that situation. If they just hit for 1 energy less, right? Yeah. They would have had like a much more powerful next turn. But I think looking back on it, they shouldn't have hit at all. They should have been, all right, pass. And just keep the energy preserved in play to maximize their next turn's potential. Because there's really no threat on their active. Or too much of a threat on their active, I think, in that situation. I mean, I guess they could have got like the Tina knockout, but if they get that, you're maybe in such a bad spot anyways, it doesn't really matter because their hand was pretty rough at that point. So I think you just kind of hope it doesn't happen.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll think a little bit about here what they're going to send up next. The Fernandez have 2 decks to choose from at this point. What do the Fernandez have left? Before they jump into the next game here, though, shout out to the sponsors once again of the show match. We got Dragon Shield. Highest quality premium gaming accessories around. Personally, I'm a huge fan of their sleeves. Use them all the time. The only sleeves that I use. And my My current go-to color is the magenta matte sleeve, so I definitely recommend those. The show match today is also sponsored by GameGrid. Check them out over at GameGridSLC.com for all of your card products that you need. If you guys need any cards from multiple different games, they got them all. And they have pre-orders available for Stellar Crown right now or Shroud of Fable. Shroud of Fable's not even out, but they already got pre-orders for Stellar Crown. So if you guys are looking to pick up some Shroud of Fable or Stellar Crown products, they got you covered. GameGridSLC.com. And then last but certainly not least, TC Evolutions. Don't just beat your opponent, but beat them in style with TC Evolutions. PokemonTCG accessories, V-Star markers, ability markers, dice, damage counters, you name it, they got it. Check them out, tcevolutions.com. Code AzulGG will work at all three of those sites to get you all a discount as well. So make sure you take advantage of that. And yeah, we're potentially going to the last game here. Fernandez have won with Bonnet, Lost Box, Reggie Drago, and Stall. They have Raging Bolt and Lugia left. What do you think they're going to send here?
I think you got to do Lugia.
You like Lugia?
I think so. I think that like your Raging Bolt is pretty unfavored into the Lost Box deck. It's pretty without the Cornerstone, you cannot beat the Reggie Drago deck.
Yeah.
Or I guess you can. You can kind of race them off the board, but
It's
if in a prolonged game, it does not work out for you.
Yeah, definitely not ideal. Okay, yeah. So you think they're just going to throw Lugia over and over and over again, just hope it sticks once?
I think so.
Ultra Ball double
Yeah.
Arcaps has to come around eventually, right?
Right. You've got enough shots at it.
And all right, we got the Kamermans deciding to send up the Reggie Drago here, and they do have, this is the last time they'll have control over first versus second, which is maybe a reason why they sent Reggie Drago. Their hand is almost fully dead. I was gonna say they're living off of the Ogre Pawn, but the Fluttermane start here from the Fernandez shuts down the draw power. Super unfortunate matchup in these starting Pokemon.
Yeah, top decking the Reggie Drago is really nice, especially with the V-Star in hand, and they already have the Noivern in hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, granted, never mind. This isn't Raging Bolt. What am I talking about? Lugia doesn't really care about the Noivern.
Not as much, no. And this will be so the Kamerman side for their Raging Bolt build. They're running the or not Raging Bolt. They're Reggie Drago, but they're running the Raging Bolt though.
Yes.
But this is actually a matchup where I feel like the Tina is like, this is where the Tina would definitely shine, right?
Well, actually, did the Fernandez brothers have a V-Guard in their list?
Ooh, good question. Not many people play the V-Guard anymore. They do have one. They do have one. I guess it goes. I guess they're happy they have the Raging Bolt then for sure. Because yeah, that's true. If they don't have, a lot of people don't play V-Guard and Lugia at all. They don't have the V-Guard.
Right.
I think you're feeling really, really good, but they do have it. All right, there was a Tails on the Aroma. Honestly, I'm kind of rooting for the Kamermans at this point to take a couple here, so I'm glad we saw the Tails on the Aroma there. And also the hand, no chops moving to the discard pile with this Ultra Ball, but they do have a draw supporter.
There could be. We've got the research.
Oh, that's true. Is that maybe the correct way to approach this? Actually, you might be right. Do we all? It probably is worth it, right? Just getting our Arcaps in the discard pile is just the priority. I guess the question is, what do you bench? The Weird Ear's pretty good for 1-hit KOs. That means we have to get rid of the Iron Bundle here, which also, to be honest, is not terrible, because sometimes you just want to be able to punch a lower HP 2-prize Pokemon off the bench.
Right.
Yeah, for some reason in my head, I thought we weren't going to quite get there, but no, we got there. We got there. There's a chops in the discard pile.
And we've got a half decent chance of being ready for next turn as well. Do you nest ball for a second Lugia here?
Are we? It could happen though, right? Honestly, I was actually just thinking about this. Should we have actually used Iron Bundle to shut down Legacy Star?
Oh, that's interesting.
What do we value more? The Ogre Pawn draw 1, which could happen from just another Ogre Pawn on the bench. It is nice to be able to shut that hard retreat down. Now the Ogre Pawn in the active can't retreat. I'm actually not sure about that. But yeah, another good question is, are we scared of turn 2 Prime Catcher KO or Lugia? It could happen, right?
Right. I think you're okay with shutting down I was going to say, I think you're okay with shutting down the Ogre Pawn just because you wouldn't force them to find a second Ogre Pawn to be able to even attack.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still pretty effective, right? To just shutting down the active here.
Yeah.
We see immediately into the Legacy side on the Kamerman side. And, I mean, it's okay. We kind
of energy.
Yeah. we got to research. So we're playing the game. Yeah, and we have a superior in the hand, right? In fact, yeah, you might as well try and get some value out of this before it all goes to the discard pile. That's rough. Get all this energy back, but we're going to send it right back here in a second.
Yeah, still not having an energy switch is unfortunate. It's going to make things really difficult as far as moving this Ogre Pawn is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, we could end up in...
Nope, that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's big. Get to use this Ogre Pawn now. Get +1 card here. Do we ever boss? I don't think we're ever bossing here.
No, I don't think
have
so.
A good enough attack to go with it.
We got more Ogre Pawns, though.
Yeah. Do you ever get a Drago instead, or are we always all in on just going for one more Ogre Pawn? Another energy in play?
Well, the max that the Fernandez brothers can get to is 6 energy. So they can't OHKO you anyway. So I think you're okay with just another Ogre Pawn. Just kind of cycle some cards.
Yeah. Thinking about
Double check Weird Ear.
Well, no, it's 6, but they have double turbos, right?
Oh,
you can get 4 double turbos.
Energy card. Yeah.
They can get there. It could get one hit KO'd. That is scary.
You're right.
Hmm.
I was just thinking of it with the same math as Chinchino.
Yeah.
But it is definitely not the same.
So honestly, well, I guess no. The Lugia is always the target. If we can KO anything here, we KO Lugia. That's gonna be that's a really tough KO because we have to get Raging Bolt and get it in the discard pile and find Prime Catcher and an energy switch.
Right.
Jeez. And this is also this is honestly one of those situations where it's like, well, I guess we already switched into our Regidrago, which was maybe a mistake. We could have switched into the other Ogre Pawn instead to give ourselves a little bit more flexibility, right? Because I feel like, I mean, we don't want to we could run out of energy in this situation, I guess. But this is where the Cleffa honestly could have shined. We could have switched into Ogre Pawn, just retreated to Cleffa for the turn, just kind of chilled, regrouped, and then attempted on that next turn. Got the energy switch though.
Especially the bundle's already gone, so you're not worried about that.
Yep. The bundle's gone. So, and Lugia usually can't, besides maybe a bundle, they usually can't pull together turn 2 double chops boss. It's not very likely usually. But this was a decent draw here. They get off the attack, start to set the pace. So it's going to have to be a little bit of just damage spread. Oh, but the mist energy on the Weird Ear. Oh my gosh, that's actually huge. So no spread from the Dragon Ball over to the Weird Ear. That misfind is a big deal. Man.
Do you ever use the Dominating Echo from the Noivern? Or did it and stop the hand attach of the special energy? Is that more valuable than putting 6 on Lugia?
What if you just covert flighted so Weird Ear can't hit you? You actually, because KOing Fluttermane is okay, but it has to come with a KO on an Archeops. So then you could go KO Archeops, KO Fluttermane with Dragapult later. So you could covert flight to shut down the Weird Ear potential, and then follow it up later.
You could Dragon Laser too.
Yeah. Oh, that would work, right? Knock out the active 30 to the Weird Ear if we want to be more aggressive. But
There's a lot of options.
Yeah, I could still see covert flight being better just to play around, just not getting KO'd.
I think I agree. Yeah. Instead, we're going to see some more pressure put on.
Yeah, I feel like playing around just not getting KO'd here is probably correct. And honestly, thinking about that a little bit more, should we have left that grass energy on an Ogre Pawn to respond to the Weird Ear with? We did E-switch this one over to the Drago. I guess, but putting up an Ogre Pawn is just so bad in this matchup, right? Because then Lugia gets its free too.
Right.
That's tough to ever want to do.
And then if you've committed so many resources to attacking with an Ogre Pawn, you're more than likely not going to have a Regidrago available to attack with afterward.
Yeah, that's true. So you're hoping you just make another Regidrago and hope that survives 2 turns at least.
Right.
All right. We're over to the Fernandez side. They're close, but don't quite have access to... Now they're going for Nestball for another Lugia here. This kind of makes me think, if we're gonna do it this turn, we should have done it last turn, right?
Right.
Yeah. Because nothing changed in the hand enough to the point where we now are all of a sudden doing it, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of the awkward things with this list versus the Chinchino base list is we've got these extra basic search cards to get out these extra basic attackers that we've added, but a lot of times do you want to put these more fragile, smaller 2 prize targets on your bench?
Yeah. Definitely is the question in the moment always. They have access to the Luxray. I don't know if they're ever... Oh, they might be putting the Luxray in play here. I guess they have the bench space for it. They started losing access to potential for Luminion, I guess, but maybe that's not that big of a deal in this situation. Obviously, if they're just going to discard something. And they have the Carmine here. So they have double chops after the Carmine. There's no reason to have taken the Luxray for not putting it in play here, because you could have always just grabbed another Archeops to thin out of the deck. So Luxray is going to make the appearance into the Carmine. And they've got this KO on the active Regidrago coming up. And this is, I mean, this is gonna set tempo now for the Fernandez, right? They can win by going knockout active, boss KO Ogerpon, boss KO Ogerpon. And just take over from there.
Right. So with this first Primal Turbo, we go up to 200 damage.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the second one will just get us there, because these are our last two double turbo energy. I mean, this is still a lot of energy to commit to this, though, if it can be responded to.
That's true, yeah. We don't have the response quite yet. Oh, Legacy gets involved as well. I guess that makes KOing the Fluttermane better, though.
Oh, yeah. It makes KOing the Fluttermane a lot better. I actually don't know if I like grabbing Legacy here.
Yeah, could we have... how could we... Maybe could have made it... It could have made its way onto the Luxray at some point. But I guess we're never going for a 2... Yeah, I guess it just doesn't make a difference, right?
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. But then going back to, like, the Kamerman's choice, I feel like Covert Flight, just seeing, like, potentially how this could have played out, seeing how it plays out. I don't think I'm being too anecdotal with it. But, yeah, I think Covert Flight was probably the best to try and slow things down for a turn. Being like, I need a turn. Just give me a turn. I'm not going to take a knockout. And almost, like, trapping, honestly, keeping Fluttermane in play, so, like, there's less potential for Luminion plays moving forward is not a bad thing either.
Yeah. But that being said, you know, we are where we are now, and it actually looks like that the Kamerman brothers have a response KO.
Yeah.
We top decked another energy switch. So we're going to see this Dragon Laser kind of pay off. No, we cannot directly attach a Drago.
We did get the Iono. The Iono, unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't matter as much. Actually, this is like, that's always like a question here. Is like, do you even play the Iono here? I guess it doesn't matter one way or the other. So maybe you just play the research and just draw 7 yourself. They haven't had enough time with their hand to have set it up in a way where they're more likely or less likely to have boss or Luminion in the current hand. I don't think. Right.
It's like, you know, that they had Carmine. They played. Boy, I don't think they played anything out of the hand after the Carmine, and then they just took 2 prizes.
Yeah. They don't have the. Is the penny left? Do we have the penny? No. And we're playing the Prime Catcher, right? Yeah. So we can't.
No, they just discarded the penny at the beginning of this turn.
Okay. So yeah, we don't actually have. It would have been nice to potentially penny an Ogerpon out of play if the other Ogerpon gets chased, but that's not possible anymore. So it really is coming down to, does Lugia have Gust? And honestly, even if Lugia doesn't have Gust, I think it is maybe possible for Regidrago to whiff back-to-back attacks here.
For sure.
So I mean, they'll get this one. What can they do here? Attack with Dragapult, right? That has to be our attacker, I assume.
Well, it's just weird because I don't know how much how much does that damage really matter? I actually am wondering if they shouldn't use the Vessel and discard the Gudra and get a Rolling Iron KO instead.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, that would be another question. Is does the minus 80 make a big difference as well? What is Lugia doing? 220, make him hit for 140, 140 still knocks us out, but that forces 4 non-double turbo energy. Also, that's another thing here is we do force 4 non-double turbo energy 2 times in a row theoretically.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the Ogerpon could potentially come in and clean something up.
Yeah.
Like if we take a KO, then we get to just put damage on a Lugia, because the 60 is pretty inconsequential. Like that doesn't help anything in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I'm actually wondering, because Dominating Echo wouldn't take a KO. It has to be one of the 200 damage attacks.
Yeah.
I really just want to use that other Noivern attack at some point. It never gets to shine.
You just want to use it. Yeah, so the Dragapult attack, the damage doesn't matter right now, but I guess you could make it matter if they whiff, right? If they whiff the knockout, then all of a sudden you could put 2 on the Lugia V, 4 on the Lugia V star. If the Lugia V doesn't evolve to a Lugia V star, then you could boss KO that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus,
I mean, knowing they only play 2 Mist Energy in that Fernandez Lugia list.
Yeah, one's about to go down. See what they opt for here. I could see an argument for both, to be honest. The Phantom Dive.
Yeah, I mean, they're not one-hit KOing you anyway, so the Rolling Iron's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, because if you go with the Phantom Dive here, and then the Fernandez whiff boss, which it feels like you almost need them to whiff boss here. If they do whiff boss, then on the Kamerman side of things, it's like, okay, now because I didn't use Goodra, they get to use their double turbo energy and punch my active. So maybe you just go with the Goodra route.
I'm going to hop back again. I'm going to say that you need to Rolling Iron here so you don't just get Luxray punched and set up for the Lugia so they don't have to commit as many energy.
Okay, I could see. Yeah, that's a good point. They did go with the Phantom Dive, though. And that does open up, like you said, the Luxray punch. Now you could just get Luxray punched. And then
I mean, maybe that's inconsequential because it puts them back on a good prize map, and they only need 2 more prizes to win the game.
We'll be on even prize cards here because we're not taking 2 because the Legacy's on the active here.
You're right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for a second I was like, oh yeah, that lets him make the pressure rate odd again. Wait a second, we'll be 4-4. Yeah, so the Legacy will make a difference here, I guess, with that. Almost in the Regidrago favor.
We can't even use the Luxray at this point. Yeah. So we have to go into Lugia.
1 prize card. So they got 4 prize cards left. Honestly, from this situation, I don't know. We got a lot of Ogrepons. If no Ogrepon gets boss KO'd here, then we could accelerate a lot of energy and get some Raging Ball action. Turn out to boss. I don't see one.
No.
Oh my gosh. They got 2 Lumineon in the deck. Probably a considerable amount of boss. Also, I don't know if they're playing Serena or not, but there's a Regidrago V on the bench as well. That could have got gusted.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
I mean, this is going to clear almost all the energy out of the deck.
Yeah, there's not much left. And it's all going to be trapped in the hand at this point. The rest of the energy is trapped in the hand, so an Iono needs to be found. It's just starting to get a little bit awkward. They're going to utilize the double turbo out of hand, it looks like. We split up the damage here, 3 and 3 on the Lugias. So a Raging Bolt for 3 energy will get the KO this turn on the Kamerman side. But they also have to prepare for... They will need another Regidrago. So they have to play for that in mind as well here. They'll get the energy manual attachment down on it for sure. And they need to build
do they still have 1 energy switch left, or did they use, was that last one their 4th one?
They have 1 left. They just went through the discard pile right there. There's 3 in there. So they have exactly 1 left, which they'll need to find. And I guess they're getting punched by a Lugia here, so they will need ball. No, they could need balls on the next turn. I guess if Luxray gets in, because they didn't use Rolling Iron, so Luxray could get involved on the next turn, which means you'll need a Gust effect as well. There is a gift on the active though, so they'll be drawing. That's a question here, I guess, on the Fernandez side. Do you want to bench a Ursaluna so you can draw 1 more card off your active gift? Which I think the answer is probably yes. I think finding an Iono next turn is probably a big deal. They're going to opt not to. They'll only get one off this active gift draw, and then the top deck for turn. All right, Kamerman side. A lot of Ogrepon, a lot of energy in hand. They have the stuff. They have the pieces.
Yeah, it's just, what do you go for at this point? Could you run the Fernandez out of energy by... No, you couldn't. I was going to say by just gusting up the other Lugia and punching it, and setting damage up on the front current front Lugia with Dragapult, and then either you have access to a 4 prize turn if they don't have the mist energy, or they just can't do anything with the Lugia and it's stuck active.
Yeah, I think they probably because they have some jets left as well. So as long as they have a jet, they get out of that as well. I think would be the situation, right? I think the Kamerman is just I think you just got to draw through the deck pretty aggressively here. I don't see a reason to not just like flood the board with Ogrepons. And then you don't have to use the Superior.
Right.
But you need a lot of energy in play because this turn you have to use Raging Bolt, and then next turn you need a Raging Bolt again. So currently they're just missing... Oof.
But is Raging Bolt already in the discard pile? Or I guess we're grabbing it off the Ultra Ball.
Yeah, actually, good question. I'm not sure. But I think you can pretty comfortably get rid of the research here. They're holding back on it. But I think you're always holding the hand because you want the boss, right?
Right, for sure.
I feel like, just get rid of the
Without the boss, you can't. Without the boss, you're not going to win the game.
Yeah, get rid of the Cleffa, get rid of the research. We're never researching this hand, and if we get Iono, we're looking for the boss anyways. Okay, it was in the deck, but we did find it. Oh, getting Mew established would also be a big deal as well. This is honestly looking pretty...
You still have Prime Catcher and another boss. I guess you could have seen an argument to not keep it just for having all that available still.
Yeah, honestly,
because the Mew out seems fine.
Yeah, because of the Prime Catcher, I almost actually... Is the research the better card, actually, because of Prime Catcher?
Right.
Because we need more than just that. Yeah, getting the Mew established is a big deal here as well. But you'd want to bench this other Ogrepon if possible. But now they can't... but I feel like they could have if they had sequences differently. They could have Superiored first, started using the Ogerpon, the next Ogerpon, and then go into the Ultra Ball, and also be able to play the net. Oh, well, I guess they had the Ultra Ball for their. I don't know. I guess they always had to sequence it like this. But you definitely want to get the Mew established from the Nest Ball.
Well, but at the end of the day, you still had the option where you could have gotten rid of this boss and kept the research.
Yeah.
And used the research, and then you would not have even needed the Nest Ball either.
Yeah, that's true. You could have just used the research as well. Yeah, I think just no matter what, the research is always better than the boss, even if you don't use it this turn. If for some reason, depending on how you draw, I guess like specifically in this situation, if you're using the Superior, you have so many energy in the hand, you probably don't want to research those, which would be fine. Yeah. But then if you get Iono, drawing the research is better than drawing the boss almost.
Right. And then you know that you still have 2 gust effects in your deck.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Interesting to go for the Ogerpon over the Mew, but I don't hate it because if you get Iono, that you can draw into the Mew, I guess.
Right. And this puts another energy on your board.
Can we play the energy switch here? We can, right?
I think you have to, just because you don't want it getting Iono to the bottom.
So you get rid of what? The grass off the active, 2 grass off the bench. You have to get rid of 3 though, right?
You have to get rid of 4.
Oh, I'm just miscounting. We do have to get rid of 4. The 1 off the active, 3 off the bench on the Ogerpons. Wait, how do we win? No, that works. That works.
Yeah, that's plenty. We still have access to all of our Ogerpons next turn, and we just KO the other Lugia ideally.
Yeah, I'm tripping. For a second, I was like, well, I think we just run out of energy. No, but we can get rid of all 3 off the next Regidrago that attacks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So 1 off the, but we have to make sure we don't get rid of 2 off the active, because then we could get our bench. Oh no, I guess our bench Regidrago can't get Gus KO'd. So maybe we could just get rid of.
I think it's kind of 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other in this situation. You're fine with just getting rid of the energy off of all the Ogerpons anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because if you discard 2 off the active Reggie, you then aren't getting rid of 1 off of an Ogerpon, and that Ogerpon could get Gus KO'd.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'd still have 4 energy on board though, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's fine to get rid of 2 off the active, because our bench Regidrago cannot be 1-hit KO. That's the only thing I was like kind of scared of, but it can't. Mm-hmm. So this should be safe. And if you don't KO the active, then we have Prime Catcher, or if we lose Prime Catcher, we can just attach active pass, and then eventually we get to the be able to knock out. So I guess this does make the most sense, I think, overall. But then should we have gotten rid of all 3 off the active? Does that ever make the most sense then? But can we get rid of fire? What is it? Yeah, we can get rid of the fire, right? I'm probably forgetting what the card does.
Well, I think if you get rid of the fire, you open yourself up to... Well, no, because you have Prime Catcher. I was going to say you open yourself up to getting just stalled out, but...
Oh, I guess they could, like, send up the Lugia and pass and leave the Lugia in the active. So that... All right, this maybe does make the most sense then overall. All right, Fernandez finally finds some options. Luminions in the hand. Both Luminions in the hand. And I think they're just going to go for the Luxray Knockout on the active. And then I think you might as well Iono here, right? You should hit him with the Iono probably, if there's one left.
Yeah, I think you have to. Although, how many energy are they still going to have available?
Not many, but the Iono's not there. They'll have enough to attack with Lugia. They would have had enough to attack with Lugia, but there's no Iono. So I think on the Kamerman side, they're going to be able to pull it out here on this next turn.
Well, we do still have Ursaluna as an option for next turn. Like if... Oh, no, but we don't have the Iono, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we don't have a way to disrupt
this. If they had the Iono, yeah.
It's just going to be that wild charge. So I guess in the end, actually, the Luxray does make a difference here. The legacy placement wouldn't have mattered one way or another, really, in the end. It did kind of force the situation where we forced the Gust on the Kamerman side no matter what. But, yeah, I think they're going to have it here. They got energy. They got boss. That's it. They got game. Okay. They start to pull it back here a little bit. They get off the Lost Box. They hit up that good matchup with the Raging Bolt. It doesn't work out, but now they get the Regidrago line up here into the Lugia, and they're actually able to start to pull it together, and they put one on the board.
We get to see these lists that the Fernandez brothers have left are arguably, they're strong decks in their own in a vacuum, but in their own right in this field, I think that they may be some of the tougher ones to win with.
Yeah, I think they are. Like, you can look at those. You probably would call those... Well, the Bennett deck is also maybe a little bit iffy, but the Bennett deck has, like, strong matchups, and they were able to catch one of them, right? It's just like, oh, I just win because I'm playing Bennett. I would say, yeah, overall, Raging Ball and Lugia are their worst 2 decks, and those are the ones they have to win with at this point. Yeah, the Fernandez, they have 2 decks remaining, but only need to win with one of them. They have 6 decks. For anyone who's just tuning in, doesn't understand the format, each side picked 7 decks. There was a ban to start things off with. Both sides banned Gardevoir, so no Gardevoirs being played besides the Gardevoir and the Banette. 6 decks remaining on each side. They have to win with 5 of the 6 decks remaining. They have to win with 5 of the 6 decks remaining, and it is, yeah, Lugia and Raging Bolt here left for Fernandez. They got to pick up 1 win with either of the decks, so that's going to become like the guessing game. And now also on the Fernandez side, they get to choose first or second every single game until they win or until they lose. So they have a little bit more control as far as that goes. And yeah, now they have to try and pick what they think the Kamermans are going to throw. And then if you think they're going to pick a deck that wants to go first, you probably pick Raging Bolt. If you think they're going to pick a deck that wants to go second, well, I guess even in that situation, even if you think they're going to pick a deck that wants to go, maybe you just always send Raging Bolt and pick second.
I think specifically if you think they're going to bring Stall, you throw the Lugia out.
Oh, true. Yeah. That is true. That is true. There's like the one matchup for sure.
Although this Lugia deck, I don't know. I feel like the Cinccino based ones would be better into Stall than this one specifically.
Yeah, because you get
but
that.
Still,
the big thing is like being able to KO Rotom when it has like a tool on it.
Right.
I'm not sure what was actually picked here.
You still have Weird Ear, so I mean that's good enough.
Oh, that is true. The Deer is still available, but the Weird Ear is a little bit awkward because your bench could get flute filled before.
Oh, true.
Before you actually can use it. Whereas you don't mind having just a Cinccino chilling at all points in play. If you put Weird Ear down, well, I guess you can always accelerate to it. It's just, definitely a little bit more awkward. But we see the Charizard pick here from the Kamerman side, and I'm curious to see. This is the question is first versus second. I'm assuming, Fernandez chose second, and they did bring the Raging Bolt. And this start is slow here from the Kamerman side. Honestly, even if you went second with this start, this still sucks. First or second, this is rough. Hoping for a top deck, or hoping for a grasping draw just to find like a card or 2.
I mean, at the end of the day, like it's Charizard. You're an Arven away from setting up, but
on the other side, might not be able to take advantage of going second here. Has this concealed cards to work with, but that's basically it right now.
Yeah, unless we can hit some sort of basic search, or just a raw basic, but.
Yeah, they're debating
which energy we want to grab.
Ends up with the fighting, the lightning. I assume that means we're going to conceal the cards away the fighting then at this point. Yep, there it is. All right, basics. Nothing.
Wrong basic.
Gosh, well, you can start to build up the Mew if you want to, I guess. I don't know how good that is. It's going to be the pass.
I guess we boss, play the stadium, and grab just to get more cards from Grasping Draw.
Yeah, probably save. I think probably save for a Seal Stone would be the only thing I'd consider saving here.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if we whiff this turn and the attack comes in from the Fernandez side, we will have a turn to like recover, I guess, and go from there. I mean, we're just a Pidgeot away from a Candy Pidgeot. Thinking about the 4, I don't know. 4 Seal Stone just seems.
I think you save the 4 Seal Stone just because if you hit a Nest Ball specifically, you'd have the Rotom. But
Nest Ball, Ultra Ball for Luminion.
Well, I guess they know better. You hit the Poffin.
Yeah. All right, another concealed cards. Can we find a Raging Bolt? That's all you need here.
There's the Ogerpon.
+1.
It could still happen.
No way to play the hand low enough to draw with Mew. Oh my gosh. This is a tough one. Well,
yeah, you had to mention dead draws earlier.
Yeah, I know.
There's the Arven though.
Now things are looking pretty good here on the Kamerman side.
Yeah.
Double Poffin coming down. Oh, maybe not though. There's the Collapsing State in play, which makes things a little bit awkward, but probably you kind of want to get that Bidoof in play as well, as long as the B-Barrel's not prized.
Well, you still could, because we could Arven for Ultra Ball for Pidgeot and then go search it out and be
okay, yeah, you're right.
Totally sad.
You're right. That's definitely the play. Get Pidgeot online.
I don't remember. Stamp is the A spec they have in the Zard list, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think now that they've been given this much time to kind of get things set up, they're going to have the Pidgeot established. They can kind of set things for next. Having the collapse is actually going to be a little awkward here. Not being able to do something like use Rotom's ability to draw 3 and kind of get themselves further set up.
Well, we still have the Clef
Like,
again, right? We'll just Clef
Oh,
up.
that's true.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. You're right.
So we could just Ultra Ball. Yeah, like you said, yeah. Arvin,
Never mind,
Ultra
they're
Ball.
good.
Probably get Bidoof. I guess there's an argument to get Poffin to thin out 1 extra card. You get Poffin for Bidoof, but Poffins aren't like terrible cards at this point, so maybe you want to hold on to those. We'll see. And then what other tool cards are even in here? Oh, the Defiance Band, which could matter.
I would save the Defiance Band just in case.
Yeah, because that is the I mean, maybe they'll put it in the hand. I was thinking maybe just leave it in the deck to draw 1 more card though.
Right.
The Grasping Draw. I guess you could you could establish it on a Charmander, but then Prime Catcher would become that K. Like they would target down that Charmander specifically.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what they opt for here. Either way, like even like a Grasping Draw for 3 plus Quick Search should be enough. But as someone just said, Cleffa has been putting in work this series. That's very true. Yeah, Cleffa's actually been kind of like an MVP, like across the board.
Yeah, for real. Like if you don't have one, go buy your pre-release Cleffas.
Yeah, go get them. Yeah. I mean, we can even draw 4 here. We could just attach this fire, right? No reason to not throw the fire down.
Yeah, for sure.
The question is more so what to Quick Search for, but I think the Bidoof makes the most sense. Because there's even like a threat of like next turn Prime Catcher KO Pidgeot, right? So you'd want to build up towards some. I guess that would be maybe an argument to get second Pidgey into play here, but I think I would lean more towards the Bidoof one way or another.
I think you're going to draw enough cards off of this that you... I think you want the Bidoof because you would be committing the candy you have next turn to a Charizard, ideally.
Yeah, that's true.
And you could hopefully get the Pidgeot established later on down the line. Or I guess we're just not going to... We're going to forego... I don't know about this. Adding a card to your hand that's just going to diminish your Grasping Draw?
Yeah, then you reduce the potential on your next turn because of lack of B-Barrel. This does increase your odds of getting the Charizard off, but...
Sure.
It's detrimental to your like overall setup, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels much weaker now if your Pidgeot gets... I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. So you say if your Pidgeot gets gusted, you don't really have a backup if they have a response to your Charizard afterward.
Yeah. Also, another thing to keep in mind with this, like Ogerpons are answers to Charizards.
Exactly.
And those can be comboed with Ionos, whereas the Raging Bolt attacks need to be utilized alongside Sada most of the time to get the big KOs.
Right.
That's actually a pretty good top deck in the Sandy Shocks there.
Just having an ancient Pokemon, like anything, please.
Yeah. Being able to attack with the 1 prizer, though, specifically is going to be nice here. Not leave a 2 prizer in the active. Of course, Counter Catcher will be live, but... Oh my gosh. Well, we can attack with the Sandy Shock still.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got our 3 energy online.
Raging Bolts are still MIA. They were making sure that you could even attack with it. It's like, all right, does this still work? Oh my god. I mean, I guess that's a question. Do you ever not go for the knockout? I think you always go for the knockout here. Otherwise, you risk your Mew just getting knocked out next turn, and then the tempo is set so far.
You're down 2 prizes, you're just...
I mean, this still feels bad.
Right.
Well, maybe they agree. Maybe they agree it feels that bad or it's not worth it. Yeah, they're thinking about ending the turn. They might go for it. Yeah, that's just the pass. All right. Sandy Shocks is the sacrifice. Candy's in the hand. Quick Search is available. No boss, though. So they are coming up 1 card short here on a 2 prize knockout. So I guess now we flip back to the other side. On the Kamerman side, do they just not take a knockout here as well? So they're just going to sit here and chill.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in an ideal scenario, you get to just kind of counter catcher that Ogerpon, right?
Yeah.
Like you have Stamp this turn. I mean, they have Mew, so Mew and Greninja to draw out of it, but getting the Ogerpon, getting 2 energy off the board. Well,
they didn't take we don't have anything this. We don't have anything. Yeah, they didn't take the knockout.
Right. Sorry.
You're good. Yeah, so we're still. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to do it too. They chose not to. They chose to play it a little bit slower here.
I think that's a good decision. I mean,
I like it overall.
we would have to have Boss and Charizard to really do something here.
Yeah, I don't love the idea of going. I think you just wait for a turn here now on the Kamerman side.
Oh, for sure.
You could just like Arven for Ultra Ball, quick search for something and pass. Quick search for boss, I guess. And then you have Zard next turn. But yeah, we're definitely taking our time here, I think. A little bit of back and forth. No one really doing anything. And you're still not under that big of a threat here either on the Kamerman side. The chance that, I mean, the Prime Catcher could come in on the Pidgeot, I guess, still. And that'd be annoying. But that's like the biggest or the worst thing that could happen, I think.
Right. And it still wouldn't be the absolute end of the world. I mean, right now, the collapsed stadium's honestly putting in a lot of work with how awkward this game has been for the Fernandez brothers, where they would have to put down, you could have a single Raging Bolt, which means you don't have a backup Ogerpon. And, that makes the response to the Charizard much more difficult if you were going to KO the Pidgeot.
Yeah, definitely. They are taking the Charizard here off the quick search. Wait, what did they get off the Arven? Oh, they got Ultra Ball off the Arven.
Yeah, they're just really not wanting to fill this last bench slot.
They are actually candying out the Charizard here as well, which, I mean, I
don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I don't think I like this either.
Now we get the Charizard's a prime catcher target.
Yeah,
and it's a two-prizer. Like I think that the only thing that was holding the Fernandez brothers back was that they just didn't want to go to an odd prize map.
Yeah,
because it doesn't benefit them at all.
Yeah. So like the thing here now is, I mean, theoretically on the Fernandez side, they could just go like switch card boss or retreat boss, KO the. Oh, they're gonna attack here though. I didn't expect the attack. I guess that's like the big thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, they can still always regain control with Radzard, but it is definitely interesting that they're being this aggressive here. To be honest.
I guess they want to force the KO so they can stamp. Like they've already got the super rods in hand.
Yeah.
So everything should be pretty easy for them to get going. Whereas if you give the Raging Bolt deck all the time in the world to kind of draw out of this dead hand, maybe they can really do something that you don't want them to.
Yeah, the recovery is definitely there on the Kamerman side. They'll be able to respond to a Charizard getting KO'd, which it should by the Ogerpon here. I think the Ogerpon should definitely begin picking up the KO here. But that's like what the Fernandez want, is they just want to find a turn to attack with Ogerpon or to Iono plus Ogerpon at some point. And now they've got that option here, to attack with the Ogerpon. They could set up energy on Raging Bolt, so then on the following turn, they could actually go with an Iono, plus maybe KO Pidgeot, which would be pretty devastating, or could be pretty devastating. Still no Raging Bolts found, though. And all 4 Nest Ball and Raging Bolt are in the deck. They're all in there.
The other important thing now, I guess, in argument of taking that KO is there are no ancient Pokemon on the board now.
Yep.
So unless we hit something off of this combination of Teal Dance, Conceal cards, and Pokestop, the Professor Sada is not even a live card, which is not necessarily a big deal for this turn, but it does put them severely behind setting up for future turns.
Yeah. Sheesh. Where are they? All right.
Gosh.
Using the shoes.
There we go.
It took so long. Well, I think we want 2 here. And they're going to try and find a Nest Ball.
Okay, I think we're in business now.
Took a while. Also need
honestly, this is kind of ideal for the perspective of as long as you have the boss to play around the Radzard when it comes down.
Yeah.
The Kamerman brothers are in a position where they are going to have to put another 2-prizer in play. So unless they can Turo one of those 2-prizers out of play, they're going to be in big trouble in a few turns.
Yeah. So they're going to have to be able to like pull off a Turo play. They're going to want to use, I mean, I think the play to look for here would probably be like Radzard next turn.
Right.
Do you ever go after the Pidgeot right now? Is that ever because you got the Prime. I believe no attachment for turn has been played out yet. Then you don't have Prime for later to play around Radzard.
Right. I think you're okay just taking this KO. Because they're not going to set up the Radzard without giving you another Charizard to KO.
Yeah, that's true. So you could look for the Gust at that point, right?
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Whereas if you gust now, you're gusting for a 2-prizer when you already have one active, and then eventually you end up in a board state where you need a gust, but they've got a single prizer active, and you're having to kind of play around that.
Yeah. Leaving Pidgeot in play always feels terrible, but I think yeah, just going for the Ogerpon knockout now, you're set up pretty well to be able to do gust plays in the future. Honestly, like Prime Catcher IO, like if we see like Radzard We're gonna get unfair stamped here, but if we see like the Radzard actually come out, Prime Catcher, Iono, KO, Pidgeot would be pretty good. Then looking for a, I guess you have to look for a boss after that though, which might be tough. So maybe it'd have to always be like Sada Prime is like what you have to look for the last two.
The other important thing here is that it actually if you had gone with the Pidgeot KO, you would have been removing 4 energy from your board and then opening yourself up to a counter catcher play to take all the energy off your board, which could make it that you couldn't respond to another KO.
Yeah, that's true as well. Now that we have, looking at the hand here for the Kamerman side, they have Turo in hand right now. Do we just play it? Like, can we go bench Radzard, Charizard, accelerate energy to Radzard, use Pidgeot, and then Turo the Pidgeot? Maybe even Turo the... Because then we just don't leave two prizes in play. Does that just kind of lock up game here on board, actually? If we Turo this turn?
I don't know if that locks up game because you would still have to take 3 knockouts. So that there's time.
We are at
for
5 right now.
It'll kind of depend on this stamp, I think.
I'm trying to like think through it. I feel like it maybe does.
I don't think we don't have to Turo quite yet. Like we can wait one more turn to do it.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'm thinking in my head is like I'm scared of us just not being able to find the Turo. Like if we unfair stamp this turn, and then our Pidgeot gets knocked out, are we ever just like, well, that's it. We can't find Turo anymore.
Right.
I'm trying to like think through the process here of what we could possibly do. And I'm thinking, yeah, if we go evolve to Zard, load up the energy on the Radzard, knockout. Yeah, I guess we are still, well, knockout for 2. Yeah, I guess we're not quite there yet. That is true, yeah. We're still a little bit behind. All right, we have quick search. We do need to find a Charizard here. Whether we attack with Radzard or not, there's got to be a Charizard involved. And I don't think we're Ultra Balling. Are we ever Ultra Balling any of these cards?
Unfortunately, I think you have to.
We still have quick search. Are we trying to stack the quick search for something else?
See, so all of this again goes back to why at some point I think we needed to get the Bidoof down.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
So that you would be okay not having Pidgeot on the board.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The only reason I was thinking you could want to use the Ultra Ball here was that you could quick search then for the Turo at some point, because now if your Pidgeot does get gusted and KO'd, you're more than likely not going to find Turo to get Charizard off the board.
Yeah, because Lumineon for Turo doesn't do anything because it's just putting another 2-prizer in play, so that never is like a solution. We do get the Radzard attack here, but now the question is, does the Fernandez side, do they have a return gust knockout? And it would have to be through a Raging Bolt here. Oh, wait, are they going to go with... The problem if they go with Counter Catcher here, though, is then this Ogre Pawn can just accelerate another energy to itself and then KO the Charizard, right?
Right.
I almost feel like KOing this Ogre Pawn here is like the best route to take.
Yeah, I think you just KO the Ogre Pawn. It takes 3 energy off the board. You still have the Counter Catcher for a later turn. I don't really know what you're getting out of...
Oh, okay. That's actually reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still... I don't know. Leaving this many energy on the board against Raging Bolt, though?
Yeah, so basically the Kamermans are giving up on the win condition of removing resources in play. And they're just like, we're going to win this game because you're not going to draw a boss. Right? That's kind of the route they're taking. Or a Gust. You're not going to be able to Gust back-to-back turns. That's what they're playing towards here. Which, I don't know. I kind of like... I mean, you remove the draw power... I mean, yeah, I guess it. I don't hate it.
Well, and I guess it depends on how many grass are in the discard pile, but there are 4 on board right now. So energy retrieval may not be a live card.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We could always retreat an Ogre Pawn.
But you could always retreat. More. Yeah.
And there's some...
potentially Pokestop it. Yeah.
Yes. Ooh!
There's
there's Prime. So we're getting a 2-prize knockout this turn. And we always go after the Pidgeot here, right? Because, well...
Oh, I think so.
Man, this is still kind of awkward.
Because otherwise you get Iono to 2.
Yeah. So we Prime KO Pidgeot with the Raging Bolt. And then ideally just leave the Raging Bolt around as like potential attackers. So we can go boss with Raging Bolt KO Charizard.
But I don't know. This still kind of puts you in the position that I was talking about previously where you are opening yourself up to having all of the energy wiped off of your board.
Yeah. This is still available. I mean, you could KO Charizard with another grass being put on that Ogre Pawn.
Right. And it looks like that might be what's being lined up.
Yeah. But then it gets awkward because the Turo can, like, they can go bench Charmander, bench Turo, or Turo the Pidgeot, bench Charmander, and threaten just Candyzard win. But then you could Iono, and then they could just whiff. I guess that could be like the response. Yeah, you are right. It does kind of look like that's being set up. Can you get enough energy in play here where you're pretty safe? You can KO Pidgeot with the Raging Bolt, and you have enough energy in play to basically threaten the Charizard? You could get rid of what, the fighting off the active Raging Bolts?
If you just abandon all the energy off of all of the Raging Bolts.
Maybe.
Yeah. That would do it.
Looks
Or
like
even just all the energy off the active Raging Bolt, and then these two single or one grass off of the loaded Ogre Pawn and one grass off of one of the other Ogre Pawn.
Yeah. That could work as well.
But you're still going to need to be able to find enough energy and
You have to find boss. Yeah. We just milled a boss. What are they doing?
And I think they should still have Pal Pad, I believe.
Keeping the 2 grass on that one Ogre. Does that make sense? I guess
I
because,
don't know
yeah.
if keeping both lightning around, I think, is the thing that seems odd to me.
Yeah. All right, they go down to 2. I mean, energy off the prize cards doesn't seem bad.
Yeah.
Ratings art is still set up. No Iono in the hand. Oh, that's a pretty good top
Oh,
deck.
wow. Yeah, Counter Catcher and Iono?
Yeah, so you probably just go after that bench Ogre Pawn, right?
Yeah. That's what I would say. I mean, yeah, at this point, you lose if your opponent has a Gust. There's nothing you could do about that. So take as many energy as you can off the board, Iona them to a low hand size, and you should win if they can't draw out of it.
Yeah, we got Nest Ball. Get that Bidoof finally. Probably maybe Ultra Ball for Pidgey as well. You could you could Ultra Ball away the Charizard and the energy, and then maybe Super Rod the energy back to the deck and play the Iono. Or I guess this is also safe on the Charizard at this point, actually. So maybe you just set up the next attacker, actually. I take it back. Yeah, I don't even know if you play the... I guess Ultra Ball is better than Nest Ball. Well, you could leave the Ultra Ball in the deck because that could still find Luminion later. By putting on Bidoof seems like something you definitely want to do.
I agree. We said... You said it 10 minutes ago.
We've been waiting for Bidoof. Where's the Bidoof? Waiting for the Bidoof to come out. There it is.
There it is. I think it's interesting to Ultra Ball for it, though. Because the having that Ultra Ball available at some point to either find the Bibarel or to go find Luminion.
Yep.
Why
Yeah, we could have Nest Balled for it, and then if we draw into a Poffin, we could play Poffin, then use Pokestop after shuffling the Ultra Ball back into the deck, depending on the composition of the draw. Oh, they're thinking about...
Okay, Rotom is... I don't think Rotom's the right choice.
No, Rotom's always terrible.
Unless you're taking it just to put it on the bottom of your deck.
Okay, yeah. But then why not get Bidoof?
I don't know.
We just want to see Bidoof. I guess Bidoof could get bossed. Are we afraid of Bidoof getting stuck in the active? That'd be the only thing, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
We did draw into boss counter catcher. So we got game lined up here on the Kamerman side. Yeah, I guess it could get stuck. But actually, I don't even know how many gusts they have left where they could stick it and then get around it again before you draw the energy to... You could have super rod the energy back to the deck as well. All right, over to Fernandez side. Can they possibly win this turn? Sada's not good enough.
Right. And that's where I don't know if it was necessarily right to leave the energy on the Raging Bolts to begin with, because you needed boss to win this game. You weren't going to win it with a Sada.
Yeah. I think they need a... Do they have... It's close. How many boss do they play? They play 2 boss, right?
Yeah. I believe so. But I don't know if they have a way to power up an Ogre Pawn.
Well, no, they can get there with a Raging Bolt this turn now. They have 4. They can, if they need to find a fighting. All right, the boss is getting...
No, yeah, they could have gotten with the fighting. You're right.
Yeah. There's a question of should they go with concealed cards here versus just the Ogre Pawn. But I think Ogre Pawn seems correct here. And then there's also an argument to use Pokegears now to thin the boss out of the deck. It's not guaranteed. You would want to increase your odds. They're definitely unfavored at this point, but it is possible to win this turn. They whiffed. I mean, if you play the first one, you play the second one, though, I think. Ooh, half measures. I don't know about that. Oh,
Well, there's the fighting.
but they needed a grass. There's an Iono. There's never a play here though, right?
Do you just switch cart? No. Do you Iono switch cart to Greninja? Like,
No, because at one
is
price
that ever an option?
they're at one.
Oh no, they're at one price.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
All right. They're bringing it back. Fernandez started up 4-0, but are now down to their last two decks, Lugia and Raging Bolt. Honestly, thinking about it more and kind of seeing that play out, I almost just want to see the Fernandez just force Raging Bolt and pick second every single game and just be like, we'll catch you one of these games coming up. Because something like Lugia, not as consistent. Raging Bolt, definitely the more consistent deck. Really powerful deck going second. And a lot of decks can just kind of, I don't know, fizzle out when they go first. Or like have like a really slow start like we saw in that game. There was a slow start. There just wasn't the aggressive response that there usually is.
In worst case, you're like, you have a 1 in 4 shot that there's a mirror set up and that they'll just open with one big basic and you can maybe Oko it on turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. So I think like looking at what's left here on both sides, that's why I like the most. But there is still like the I guess the one matchup where you'd really want the Lugia is the stall matchup.
Yeah, right.
That's the one where you'd really want that one. But besides that, I think it's
Now, if they end up in a Lugia mirror here with these two different styles of lists, which one do you see as being favored?
oh man. So it's got the rats. Honestly, it's probably decently close because like the rats are definitely like neutrally the better attacker overall. But there is the Ogrepon that can swing back and like KO double Cinccino. Like can KO Minccino, Cinccino, double Minccino, something like that. A lot of it probably is, I think, just comes down to like the beginning of the game. I think I want to give the favor to the Cinccino side because there's only one Iron Hand. So I think I give the favor to the Cinccino side.
Sure. Okay. I wasn't sure how big of a difference the Luxray would make specifically, but it's probably not that much. I think just having more strong, sturdy single prize attackers probably does edge it out overall.
Yeah. Every time I've tested the Lugia Mirror with the idea of the Luxray, it's like the difference is probably like 52-48 or something. Like it's just such an awkward card to utilize and have it make a difference. One of the problems with it as well is like when you attack with it, it's possible they just go Boss KO and Archeops and then keep you on even prize cards at that point. You lose access to your reversal. I guess it might be a little bit different now with Legacy. Like Legacy might be a difference maker.
Sure.
But yeah, we do see Fernandez queuing up the Lugia. And they're going first.
Looks like we've got a Lugia mirror.
Okay, it's happening.
I think that's the only deck that has Luminion in it, besides Charizard.
Jump to the Kamerman side soon. There was the top deck here from the Fernandez. Find their Lugia B, which they didn't have. They have the research for next turn. They got some energy in the hand as well. I don't think they have any Archeops in the hand here, though.
No, this is a very Lugia hand.
Yeah. So looking for something nice off the research or at least a top deck of an Archeops or an out to an Archeops. Yeah. I guess we should put an energy somewhere. Oh, they're actually going to jet it up.
I think you're fine with that. I mean, like, since this is open list, they know that there's no chance of this Lugia is being KO'd next turn.
Yeah, that's true. Then just set up for the Read the Wind on the next turn, I guess.
Right.
Maybe put the gift on the Weird Ear on the bench or something.
Now, flipping it the other way, this looks like a very good Lugia hand.
Yeah. Not besides Illuminian start, yeah. This is a pretty solid. I guess the only thing missing is like a draw supporter. You do have access to Read the Wind, though. Of course, if you go for the Read the Wind, you're going to want another Lugia V on your bench, just in case.
And I guess it's like you do have the option to taking a second Luminion.
Oh, they actually have the interesting play of Push Fluttermane to stop Summoning Star, which it's not like always great.
Yeah,
like if their hand was
especially
better
with the Luminion on board already.
Yeah, if their hand was better, it would probably be a little bit better. But it's a little bit. It's a little bit like probably not going to do enough with this kind of hand.
Right.
Because you can always just like retreat the Lugia, or get a jet something else up, and then it'll get onto the bench where you want it. But yeah, it looks like it has to be a Read the Wind here. Come the Great Balls. I actually question if Aroma should have been played first there, to be honest. I think Great Ball actually should have been played first because we were comfortable with Basic or Evolution off of Great Ball. We weren't trying to maximize for one over the other. I guess Aroma does tell us what... It's actually tough.
It informs you. And then that's where I've gone back and forth on that, because even though you've thinned a Pokemon out, which makes your Great Ball less consistent, like it informs your selection here.
Yeah, that's true. So it tells you exactly what you want to get because you're not 100% sure off the Aroma.
Right. And it can technically go one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, I guess in this situation, though, I guess maybe I flip back on that a little bit because we do want 2 Lugia V here.
Okay.
We're looking at the Read the Wind angle here. We
Sure.
did get the Archeops here, which means you can play Ultra Ball, get another Lugia V. But then actually, what do we...
Yeah, what are you discarding?
I'm not sure. And they kind of hesitated immediately after taking it. I don't know if... So I almost feel like it would have been better to have gotten a Lugia. I mean, you give it the boss, I guess, right? It's got to be Read the Wind on the boss.
Yeah.
It feels bad.
It's either the boss or you don't... yeah, I don't know.
You could pass.
It has to be.
Well,
you can't just give them 2 prizes, right? I mean, I guess you're technically just giving them 2 prizes no matter what.
Yeah. You could have just...
But you can't... You have to get the second Lugia down, though.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we're afraid of boss KO bench Lugia V, though, right? I think if we just went pass,
sure,
we'd be okay with that. So we could have Ultra Balled away. We definitely want to Ultra Ball away the 2 Archeops in case of Iono. We could have grabbed whatever attacker we think we want off that. But then we're just set so far behind in terms of tempo that, yeah, I feel like we got to go. This route, I think, is just correct. We need more options. We just want more options.
Right.
Yeah. In chat, people are saying now... Grant Manley says, now you flutter. Arthur is... We can jet flutter. I don't know if it's that much better to do the flutter thing here, though. I feel like Read the Wind for the extra options just feels better. Flutter is was like a possibility here, but it's like it doesn't do that much. The flutter just kind of like slows them down a little bit. Like it makes it awkward.
And we could also just see the Evo attach, retreat, and then summoning star.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So like it just makes things a little awkward, but it doesn't actually stop them from playing the game.
Right.
I guess it could if they have no access to energy, but. Oh, wait, are they not gonna... Oh, maybe you do just... Maybe the chilling is correct. Maybe not Reading the Wind is correct, because you get the boss for 2 on the knockout. The problem with like a play like this on the Kamerman side, though, is if Fernandez can respond with boss KO Archeops and never trigger a gift energy. And then you just have you just dead draw for the rest of the game. Over to the Fernandez side. They want to get this KO on this Luminion. And getting 3 prize cards is just probably better than 2, right? They're eyeing up the hands.
Yeah.
They just need Archeops. They have none of those.
You just have to have faith, man. They'll get it. We'll get there. Research into Ultra Ball double Archeops.
No, not quite. This is pretty... I mean, this is a pass hand. It looks like a pass hand to me. There's no threat on the active getting KO'd here, so you don't need the second V either.
Right.
I wouldn't even play the capturing rumble. You don't have top deck Archeops here. We're thinking about it though. If you do fall behind, that's actually the reversal energy is also in the hand. That's unfortunate. Because if you fall behind here, that's where you get to use the Luxray, right?
Right.
But, oh man, that's tough. Maybe you top deck the Luxray, but even then, now it's like less Archeops. So yeah, Kamerman gonna be able to set the tempo here. Get this first 2 prize knockout. They're gonna jet the Lugia to the active, boss the Weird Air, and the one play that would have been scary here as a response would have been if the Fernandez were able to go, okay, cool, I'm gonna boss KO one of your Archeops, and now you have Lugia hitting into Lugia with no potential to really set up another attacker, or like a 1 prize or a 1-hit KO potential, because there's no rats on the board, right? No Minchinos down, no energy built up on the Minchinos. So this is where we're chasing Archeops is super, super good in Mirror, but Fernandez still have 0 Archeops in the discard pile. So they're... Well, actually, I guess they could do that, though. They could just go attach boss.
Yeah.
The active.
Yeah, like, you don't even just... Okay, I don't have Archeops, but I have a Lugia.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. But yeah, I think they have that in hand as well. I think they might have energy boss in hand.
Yeah, the only energy that they had was the reversal. But, I mean, I think that's worth it.
Yeah. And then, actually, for the current board state, there's no way for Kamerman to get a KO. They can't KO hands or the Lugia, right? Because they don't play... Their big hitters are the rats, but there's no rats set up. It'll actually make things kind of interesting. take a look at their list real fast. Well, they do have Ursaluna, but they would need like their hand does not have Ursaluna.
No, they're
boss.
not. I mean, you'd have to top it. Yeah, you're just not set up for it.
I wonder what they're debating here. It looks like it just has to be Jet to the bench, accelerate one more energy out of the deck, right? Or I guess you could attach Mist Active. Oh, okay. That almost got really, really bad. Yeah, I don't. That would have actually just. I mean, that would have been probably a game loser right there. They may be debating like just like between like Mist and Legacy, like maybe putting Legacy on the active. I guess is like the only thing I think about that they were debating about. Maybe they're talking about attacking with Luminian and putting that back to the deck, but I think just getting the knockout makes way too much sense.
Puts you even further behind though.
Yeah.
Like then you're down the Archeops and the energy on board.
Yep.
Whereas here, at least you get to keep your 4 energy on board to swing with Lugia in response.
Yeah, start to build up your next Lugia, have something going on. Yeah, there's boss reversal in the hand though. That's got to be the play, right? I can't see. Ooh, even better. Oh man.
Yeah, we get to say the reversal. Do you go for the Luxray here?
That's what I was gonna say. Well, if you boss KO the Archeops, you could still go for Luxray next turn.
Oh yeah.
This honestly is not. Ooh, they're gonna go for the 2. I thought we were gonna go for the chops, but I guess this is fine because there's no rat in play, right? Oh, but then we lose access to the Luxray. Maybe I don't like this as much as I thought I did.
I think the really awkward thing now is that they're going to be stuck. Like both Luminian are in hand and the Carmine is in hand, so we won't have access to boss later in the game.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I kind of like the chasing up.
Helps.
I like the chasing of Archeops a little bit more there because we could have Luxray next turn off the Aroma.
I agree, and that would have kept things safer down the road from Minchinos or Chinchinos.
Yeah, but now, I mean, there's no one-hit KO happening here. We did get heads on the Mezzagoza though, so the rats are going to start making an appearance. And honestly, actually, just punching this Lugia means you could go Iron Hands next turn for 3 on the Kamerman side because they still have their Legacy left. So they could just go for that. Yeah, there it is. Probably want to load up a little bit of energy in play. I don't know how far you want to go. You could put like a double turbo on a Lugia, maybe a gift on the Minchino, something like that.
Yeah, and call it a day. You just want to give yourself access to the 280.
Yeah. Don't need to overstep too much. We'll see how far they go, though. What if there's an argument? No, I think you definitely want to attach one energy from hand somewhere. So probably Gift Mist making its way to the Minchino, and then maybe double turbo to the Lugia V. See. Can't really think of a... The other play you can try and set up for, which is interesting, I guess it kind of is developing here a little bit, would be just to put gifts on your Archeops, but that's like a pretty big energy commitment.
And you figure if you only put one on one of them, then the other one's not going to have anything, and that's the one that's going to get gusted, and the other one's just a dead energy.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, it's just that 220 hit. It's still winnable here on the Fernandez side, and there we go. There are the Archeops. What is the attacker here, though?
I mean, is it just the hands, and then you look for boss next turn?
Hands.
You just hands and arm press the active?
We can't arm press. We don't have the...
Oh,
they don't play basic lanes. They don't play the basic lanes.
I'm so used to these basic lists being the ones that run Vessel and 2 Lightning.
Yeah, I mean that would have worked, I think, right? If they had that play there. Now, yeah, now I'm trying to like piece together because their Weird Ear is gone.
Right.
If they had gotten a heads there, they could have gone hands boss KO the Minchino. And then the hand survives.
Well, Bundle is still on the deck too.
Oh, okay. Well, Bundle's pretty good here. But that gives the hands the 2 prizes, right?
Right.
How did they get their last? They shouldn't get Luxray. How did they get their last 2? They are eyeing up the bundle here, but I feel like this should be an Ultra Ball for an Archeops, and then Nest Ball for the bundle. Unless I'm missing something, but I feel like this. They don't have 2 Archeops in the discard pile, right? Uh-oh.
No, I don't believe so.
Oh no. 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 All right.
I guess, are they just going for a single chops?
That can't be what they're going for. Dude, what line do they see where this makes sense? Am I missing something? Was it always?
I guess they're gonna try to Ursaluna something and just pray that they're gonna push the Lugia up. Or I guess you double turbo Legacy. I mean, it's like that's enough. Oh no, because now you can push Lugia and it doesn't die.
So they have to go Luminion for boss then. Maybe they were always doing this Luminion for boss play. Oh well, I guess.
You just want to double boss and win the game.
I guess, yeah. Oh, I guess this maybe does make sense because this does shut down.
Oh, you don't have to KO a gift this way.
Yeah, you could KO the rat though, and then your hands can't get KO'd.
The rat and then
oh
you
wait,
don't,
yeah, maybe this always made 100% sense the whole time actually. Yeah, I think we were tripping. I think that's actually a pretty good play.
I'm just all over the place.
Yeah. No, I think that's yeah, because if you KO the Minccino, your hands doesn't.
You KO the Minccino and
I wouldn't put.
We have the bundle for next turn.
Well, no, but the bundle actually I wouldn't bench because then you can't. Oh no, I guess you could bundle and then Luminion. No. I guess I'm just wrong. But they could have played the Nest Ball, I guess, beforehand even.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they got boss here. Boss is lined up. Oh, wait a second, though. Now they're going after the Archeops. I thought we were going to go after the Minccino here. And there's no way to KO the Iron Hands. But now they can go... Wait, does that Lugia have damage on it, though? The bench Lugia? Is it still a boss angle? No.
I mean, if they can't evolve it.
Yeah, but what happens now if they just go Minccino? Well, no.
If they just had Chinchino KO, you would still just boss the unevolved Lugia.
No, if they evolve the Lugia plus have Chinchino KO. I guess maybe that's what they're playing around, though, is just that they're not going to have anything because we're not triggering gift energy. They didn't have anything before. Right. Now they're not going to have anything here. Okay, that's fair. We're just like, okay, they don't have anything. We're not giving them gift energy, therefore they won't have anything on the next turn. And it worked out. They don't have anything. Yeah, no, this play makes sense. Give it a little bit more thought. You just keep avoiding the gift energy and keep drawing prize cards. I like it. Although KOing the rat there seemed just as good. I feel like. Oh, but then you get...
Yeah, but you give him a gift. You give him a whole hand of cards.
You give them the gift, but then they're only a Chinchino away from like return knocking you out, which isn't very far. I guess they have the...
I think you're fine with that, though, as long as they don't have... Like, they would have to have Chinchino...
Yeah.
And evolve Lugia.
Yeah, honestly, I think you're right. I think you are just kind of fine with that because they only draw one prize card as well. They KO your Iron Hands. They draw one. They go to 3.
Right.
You should have time to pull it off from there, I think. Yeah. No, I think it makes sense. And now.
Well, now we're lining up the legacy.
Okay, so that protects the bench. And then we have the Ursaluna KO on the active. But we are going after 3 prize cards. So the Ursaluna could just be 2-hit KO'd here.
Right.
There's no win condition this turn for Fernandez. Can't win the game this turn. Oh, but hold on. Yeah, Kamerman could get hands KO Lugia for 3, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, because they just had to put the legacy on Lugia.
Sheesh. Okay, so it's looking pretty good for Fernandez here then. It's looking pretty good. They can just go for a 2-hit KO on the active. They might need to find a boss. But yeah, punch the active into punch the active looks pretty good to me. And we know they have the access to the boss here because they have the Luminion.
Right.
So they're just sending up their most awkward Pokemon to KO in the Ursaluna. And then a little bit of going through the motions here, I guess. So just going to burn cards. I don't even know if you grab anything. I guess taking the Lugia V honestly isn't terrible. You already have a Luminion on your bench.
Right. Yeah, because like you said, you can always burn the bundle if you need to use Luminous Sign.
Yeah. They opt for nothing. Can't say I hate it. Yeah, they're just kind of going through the motions here at this point. Making its way I thought that would maybe make its way to the Lugia, but I guess that's fine. I wonder where this gift is going to go. They might put it on their Archeops, or no, maybe on their Luminion. Oh, they're going its way to the Lugia. Okay.
Like you said, I'm not sure how much it really matters. Like, they still have energy in deck to be able to retreat anything they need to.
Yeah, here comes the swing. Luminion in hand for the boss. There's the punch. They win next turn by boss KOing this Blood Moon. Over to the Kamerman side. I'm trying to come up with anything to do. I mean, there's the Iron Hands, but it doesn't matter. You can't get into the active with enough energy.
Right.
Honestly, you just have to be like retreat to Chinchino. knockout with
Yeah,
Chinchino?
you'd have to have, but even then you can't. Like you don't have enough energy to retreat and get enough energy on the Chinchino for the KO.
And we got Tails anyways on the Luminian. Wait, there's a gift on the active as well, so it'd make it so hard. I mean, I think at this point on the Kamerman side, they've had the Fernandez has been holding that hand for a while. You
Right.
can probably assume there's access to a boss's orders in the current hand.
Yeah.
So knowing that, Luminium for Iono, I guess, is an out here. Oh no, we can get the. Oh wait, can we? Yeah, we can get the knockout on the Blood Moon. We can attach active to double turbo and then put two energy onto the.
Oh, you're right. That is 280.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that should be the line here, right? Double turbo active, Archeops for as long as we have 2 energy left, onto the Chinchino, and then we have to Iono ourselves into a Chinchino as well. So we're still missing a piece here.
Right.
It's possible though. There is a line. There is a line. Oh, they're eyeing up Serena though.
I guess they're just reading that they don't have the Iona, but so why would you get Serena instead of Research?
Well, they might be going for. They actually might be going KO Luminian
Like Gus
here.
Luminian?
Yeah, that might be what they're going for here. Is Gus KO Luminian? I don't want to trigger the gift energy, but the thing is, like, yeah, Fernandez has been sitting on this hand for so long, and I feel like the fact that Fernandez hasn't played their own Iono or like a Research tells you they probably have a boss or a Ultra Ball or Luminian in their current hand, and they're just waiting. Because they've had this hand for like 3 turns. You would think that if they didn't have a boss, there a Research or something would have been played at up to this point. So I think they've given away a tell, or it's enough of a tell that they probably have access to boss in the current hand, just based on the amount of time they've had with it.
Right. And then just, they've had access to multiple resources that the Kamermans just haven't throughout the course of this game.
Yeah.
Draw passing, playing the board, not having access to anything outside of your energies. Like we had the explosive double Archeops on turn 2, but nothing really to follow up with it. And some kind of, expert board navigation with avoiding these gift energies for the entirety of this game.
Yeah. And this went back to what we talked about going into that choice to not use Read the Wind. It was like, okay, if you don't use Read the Wind here, all of a sudden they can just ignore your gift energy for the rest of the game, and then you can just they didn't dead draw. They were attacking, but they didn't have options. Right. On the Kamerman side, they never had options. They were just kind of playing off of what they had. They didn't have to really choose between this or that. It was always like, well, I only have this, I guess I'll do it.
And they could also only ever hit the active on the other side of the board.
Yep.
And that's where the Lugia V-Star got to absorb a hit at one point. And just kind of that's kind of what all she wrote as far as this game goes. Like everything, if that damage was able to go to that unevolved Lugia at some point or just anything else, the game would have turned out a little bit differently.
Yep, but here comes that final boss here. And that's going to be it. That's the set. Fernandez wins 5-2, taking victory in this Lugia mirror with some good back and forth games. Thankfully, not too many dead draws. There's a couple at the end there. I guess like the last one there. Yeah. It was a rough start, though. The Kamermans were starting to mount a comeback. Started with a 4-0 lead on the Fernandez side, but that's it. That's going to do it. 5-2 for Fernandez. It's a fun set to cast for sure. Thanks again for the players for coming out and joining up. Want to give one final shout out to the sponsors of the show match here today. Before we go any further, big shout out to the sponsors for sponsoring the show match and everything. Game Grid, check them out over at GameGridSLC.com if y'all need any cards for card games. And they have Pokemon available. Get Shrouded Fables, Stellar Crown is available for pre-order. GameGridSLC.com. Got TC Evolutions, highest quality premium accessories in the game. V-Star markers, ability markers, dice, damage counters, you name it, they got it for Pokemon accessories. Check them out at TCEvolutions.com. And then, of course, Dragon Shield. Personally, a huge fan of their sleeves. I love the matte sleeves. My go-to color. My favorite color right now has got to be the magenta matte Dragon Shield. Check them out, dragonshield.com. Yeah, congrats to Vinny and Gabriel for taking it all down. You got any final thoughts on the set there?
No, I think that we saw some good Pokemon from both sides. A couple of missteps, and just a reminder to anybody watching that even some of the best players in the game, who are definitely who we had showcased today, can make mistakes, and it's something that you can learn from their play. They can learn from their own play. So make sure when you're playing games, review what you're doing. Make sure you pay attention to the decisions you're making. Thanks for the thanks to the players for coming out and playing. Thanks for the viewers coming out and watching, and thank you, Azul, for giving me the opportunity to be here to cast with you.
Yeah, of course, of course. I know usually the people who I have on cast with me and stuff, they're content creators or players in the space who like to have coaching or something. Do you have anything you want to plug here at all as we're closing this out?
Yeah, I recently partnered up with a small organization that's up and coming called Team GoGo. They have teams for Pokemon Unite, Valorant. I'm the only current TCG player affiliated with them, but they also have a couple of VGC players. So be on the lookout for them. I do seldomly put out some YouTube content with a few friends of mine on a YouTube channel called Camp Legend Network, where we review games where I mostly do Pokemon related content, but they've also got some Disney's Lorcana videos and Star Wars Unlimited, if any viewers are interested in any of those games. And from time to time, there may be some other variety videos for other digital card games as well.
All right. Be sure to go check that all out. Everyone in the chat. Okay, I think that's going to do it for us. Not going to do a winner's interview this time around. Yeah, appreciate everyone coming out, watching the show match. Plan to come at y'all with another show match here up in August. Still got to get all that lined up, but I'm excited for that one. Still need to send the DMs, but working on it. Show matches, going to try and do them monthly moving forward. I know we're on a little bit of a hiatus after NAIC, but going to try and bring them back monthly moving forward into next season. Had a ton of fun. Thanks for joining me, Aaron, and see y'all later. Have a good one.
See ya.